much for this day and for your stake in the ground with us, that no weapon formed against us will prosper, that we will prosper in this meeting today, that our eyes and our hearts and our ears will be open to you, and we will hear you, and we will speak through your Holy Spirit, who gives us guidance for this meeting today. We thank you, we love you, we honor you, and we praise you. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Amen. Praise God. What do you think should be on the agenda, given who is here? I heard Logan sounded sick last night. I don't know, did he say to anybody that he wasn't coming? No?
I didn't
care.
Sounds like autumn was the first item on.
It is? Yeah. That's a foregone conclusion. Come on. We're just gonna let her pick it and then we'll get it. I don't have a problem with that. It's just gotta match, Jerry.
At home app opens up over here.
Are you gonna pick one?
When they open up.
Okay, all you gotta do is make sure you match the room. Like, it can't be like purple. It has to be like white or something, or black.
I put my color in the bus. All the time.
Okay.
That's funny. All right, so, well, I had some stuff, but it depends on who's here. So, what do you got?
Well,
You wanna, what?
You know, we met Sunday. Nobody's in here that met Sunday.
Embrace?
Embrace team.
So, yeah, you can give us an up. I mean, I'm
Okay.
good with that. So that's one.
Yeah.
What else? What else we got?
I can give an update on the sanctuary team.
Cool.
We met this week also.
Okay. Seems to be going well. I can talk about, I was thinking we could talk just very, very briefly about values and stuff like that, because I think actually that was the other thing, and EMI, those two things. I'll put them together. What else? We want to talk about the facility, Mike?
If you want to.
That's quiet over there. I mean, if you think it's worth, you think it's a topic
We
worth
should.
touching on,
We should.
okay. Easter, to the extent we touch it, keep touching it. And in my mind, that includes the short list of things we want to like prep for Easter. And we can have the debate about, you know, whether the projector's on it or not. Just depends on, I think, what we hear from the facility team. What else? Anything else? And just details for tomorrow?
Yeah.
Jungle
It's
Room.
the jungle room.
Do we have something there?
What was up
For the
front?
last 2 years, it's not getting done. I mean, we just need help.
Yeah,
Facility.
it might be, but I'm good touching on it. At least talk about what it is that we need to do. Because I thought John was gonna,
I was never able to finish that sound
There you
booth at Shield.
Yeah.
And I just took away from that because Brian.
gotcha. Okay, so it's probably
Well,
just,
I can
Hear
give
about
it,
it again.
I can give an update on when we get there to that, because we actually did record some stuff this weekend, or this past Sunday, and talk today about some stuff, so I can give an update on what the plans are with that.
alright, cool. So that's it. Anything else we can think of? It's probably pretty comprehensive. Comprehensive. Mm-hmm.
Probably won't get through that.
Yeah, we probably won't, but that's all right. We just might. What's the prize if we get through it? You usually have to give people something. Free coffee on Sunday? Nah. No? Joey's already getting an ottoman at some point, so, but. I figured she'd be great.
Recliner.
I was thinking about you because I was like, I didn't really say yes to that last week.
And it's not here.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, in this room?
I know, she's like, really?
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Really?
it's here.
All right,
So she can ignore us.
that's pretty much
No, so I
it.
can listen, because when I'm in this position, I listen more.
You listen?
That's, yeah, right. She listens, she looks at the inside of her eyelids and she listens to her,
No, I don't.
to her ambient noise, right?
I do my little needlepoint and I.
Do you really? You weren't doing that last week.
And I listen. and
I was watching
It's
you.
my quiet focus time, and I listen, I hear things that's going on.
I hear
Okay.
things.
Right.
What are we saying?
All right.
Not.
I'm good. And some people are like that. They
Yeah.
hear you. They're just like, when I find something interesting to say, I'll tell you.
It's probably less distracting because you don't look at anybody, you just,
Well, when I'm not doing something, then I'm always looking
I
around.
yeah.
get that. No, it makes sense. All right, Embrace. You're up.
Aesthetic.
Well, let's see, what did we do? Our talk was mostly focused on sozo groups,
Yeah.
in particular doing, something similar to the pastor's breakfast
Yes.
that you did.
Yep.
And so Jennifer and I are tasked with putting that together,
Mm-hmm.
rather than, have people come to the church as visitors and new people to the church and try and figure out what group to put them in, what cell they'd be good for, this, that, and the other, to try and do something to get to know them
Yep.
and put something out there to help them get to know us a little better, answer questions they might have about our church first,
Mhm.
before we start trying to kind of steer them in one direction or the other in terms of a group.
Yeah, got it.
So, the first order, the first task is mine, and we can do that here or somewhere else,
Yeah.
to ask you what your thoughts are in terms of how the pastor's breakfasts went.
Yep.
If you thought that would be a proper type of setting
Place to
to do
do it.
this, yeah. We'll just-
Okay. Yeah, I can rattle it off real quick. And surprisingly, I put an onboarding process in place.
Oh.
At least what I think it should be, and I'm following the model Open Embrace Link.
Uh-huh.
So this is suggested, and I figured it would give you a framework for then potentially what you guys are gonna do fits into that or takes it over. So I was thinking, in the open context, you meet the people and get some very basic information, you invite them to ask questions about the church, you take them on a tour, and then you send an introductory email. That's sort of the open. Bless you. Embrace phase, meet for lunch with one of the pastors or elders, or maybe the small group team. So that's where
Yeah.
the embrace part is where it might fit. Invite them to a pastor's breakfast. I did like the pastor's breakfast when they happened.
Okay.
They were warm, and we were able to get more than just me in there, and that's helpful for people to ask questions. I absolutely thought it would work, that they worked. I think they work better in this room than they do in that room.
Okay.
Because that one's a little closed off, and although you have a projector, a TV screen so you can show them some slides, it's more about the interaction in the breakfast than anything else.
Yeah.
Right? And so we can hand them some stuff, but that's really what it's about, around the table talking. Get a sense for the gifts and their history and embrace phase at some point, and add them to various contact lists. So there's another place where the small groups could just put them on the list.
Yeah.
They didn't say yes, but they might be interested, and we know where they live, and so let's follow up regularly with them. And then the link part, and invite them to specific ongoing events, small group, embrace night, so there's another place where there's a connect. And I thought as well, as the embrace team starts to make that open list, what we called open events, you'll see it in the bottom one. Once we get them on the calendar, then we should make sure that they're always on this list of things. Hey, we want you to come to this movie night we're doing.
Yeah.
Hey, we'd love to, So I think it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I am a big fan of the pastor's breakfast. I think onboarding people is really important, which is why I did that. And we have to, the critical piece is gonna be follow up, because it still doesn't belong to any one person. Hey man, how are you?
Good.
Good. And you can weigh in on this too. It's the onboarding process. So when new people come, just getting them into a position where at least we know them a little bit, and we're inviting them to stuff, and they know a little bit about the church.
Yeah.
So we're following the open embrace link kind of method, and the simple answer is in open, just get some information. Take them on the tour, get some information. In the embrace phase, get them to a pastor's breakfast or something where they can ask questions and we can interact with them. Not just me, but the leadership team.
Yeah.
And the link piece, we know they're linked when they're coming to something regular.
Yeah.
They're coming to the women's Bible study, or they're coming to a small group, or they're coming to Sunday Bible study, something where they've connected.
Okay.
That's the simple thought. So anybody can go in there and add or recommend different things, I think if we keep it simple, it will
Mhm.
work better.
Mhm.
The other connection is CCB has ways to then connect them and have regular interactions with them, the church community builder thing.
Okay.
Now, we can defer that to Logan or someone to manage that piece of it, so we don't have to manage the administrative part. But yeah, we should get them in a regular rhythm where they're getting some kind of communications from us. That was the thought. Any thoughts? Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, you did our work for us, thank you.
I mean,
That's great.
I mean, we can do more.
No,
I didn't mean
this
to-
is good, this is good.
No, and I felt like we
These are all
wanted a
questions.
framework, right? So
Yeah.
everybody just needs
Yeah.
to, okay, so what's the basic thought?
Yeah.
And I think we've been talking about this a lot, so I didn't make
Okay.
that up. It came out of a lot of what we were already talking
Yeah.
about. Any other thoughts about that? Is that, you think that's gonna work?
I think it's a good beginning. I think it's a good place to start.
Okay.
I mean, we won't really know until we get rolling.
Um,
And you know what I mean? And then you have to fine tune it
I
as you
agree
go
with that.
along.
I agree
But
with that.
You need to have a basis.
Uh-huh. So the real challenge is the current list of new people who have not been through all of that. Now, at this point, the Collinses probably have, but just because we've bounced into each other, right? You invited them, the team invited them to the small group, and they came to Embrace Night. So they've sort of gone through it, but we have people that are still in the early phase of that we really haven't connected with.
Yeah.
And
So-
how do we keep track of that list? Where's the list? And
The
how
list
are
of
we-
people, I mean, I'm bringing it up because I don't think we have it.
Okay.
So I think we got some Connect cards last week because the team was making sure people would fill them out. We got like 3 or 4. So that's probably a place to start. But our follow-up has been where we've dropped it.
Yeah,
We're nobody's following up.
yeah. Well, I mean, in the past, when I got the Connect cards, I would send like a little postcard saying, thank you. I think they were like one of those, thank you for joining us, hope to see you again, kind of, you know, something real basic. And if I had talked to them, I would say, you know, whatever they told me, like, you know, I would reference whatever they told me. You know, and if they want a prayer, reference that kind of thing. But then, I quit getting the Connect cards. Well, we kind of changed the way the Connect
We
cards
did.
went. And then I thought somebody else was picking up the Connect cards.
Well, yeah,
And I
Tara
don't-
was, and so now we gotta find another home for it. And I think maybe Logan will pick it up.
Okay, yeah, because we need to, I think, to me, that's really important.
Agreed.
If we drop the ball there, we've already lost them.
Agreed.
That's why I would, you know, I would just write on there, send a card, text them, email them, whatever kind of contact information they would leave on that card.
Yep,
I would make sure that I respond by that following Wednesday,
yep.
because if you don't, I feel like you lost them.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, we gotta we have to consciously rebuild that, and whatever electronic things we use to support it is fine, but
Well, I thought we were kind of building a new one with the
Yeah.
new, management tool that
I think
we were engaging in.
agree, and that's stalled because nobody's leading that. So everything either moves or doesn't based on leaders. So the CCB, we probably need some more work there to move it forward. I think what happened is Sherry needs direction from us to do anything. There's a short list of administrative people. Not everybody here needs to be involved in that,
Yeah.
but there is a short list, and somebody needs to lead the short list of people through that process, if that makes sense. So there is a,
When you say the process, you're talking about basically just getting the software set up and training her on how to use it? Is that?
it's not her, it's really more of a team, but it is the, it's set up already. So it really is training the small group of people around how to use it and when to use it, and then giving them roles to using it. And then eventually rolling it out to the church at some
Yeah.
point. It's all 3 of those phases. And again, I think she just, you know, she's looking for our guidance in terms of, so when do you wanna move and how do you wanna move?
Yeah, well, it was my understanding, one of the reasons why I never followed up any further is because we were starting the new system and I thought Sherry was taking all the cards and inputting them as a visitor thing, and I thought we were tracking them that way already.
We're
Which we
not.
might We're not?
I don't think we are. I think
Oh.
we're still, we get the cards, which we got some new ones, but then I think we gotta make sure everybody understands their role and then
Yeah.
starts to do it.
Yeah.
Cause I don't think anybody at this point sort of owns that administrative part of it. So we can figure it out.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think the watch out is that we gotta kick it back into gear.
yeah, we do. Well, we have
Seems
to,
like-
we need to have a set of steps that say, okay, people come, we get the card goes here, the card gets put in there, da, 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 da. You know, we need to have something set up for that.
Yep. No,
We
agree.
already kind of do.
Yeah, so we were just talking about, you guys, we got some more Connect cards?
Yeah.
So what do you think, what should we do with those?
Well, what I did was take them home and then I put them into MailChimp and CCB.
Okay, so they're in,
Yeah.
okay,
Nobody else was there.
yep.
I mean, it's kind of just whoever
And
gets
then
it.
what happens to them?
And then I send them a first time guest email. And then every time I send like an update email on what's going on a Sunday, they get an email. And if they come back, then they have the opportunity to get involved more. And we have their contact information. So.
That's
Good.
something you also send out to the general
Yeah.
congregation also?
Yeah, after I send them the first time guest email, I usually move them over to the overall Sozo list of people, just so they get the updates, and if they don't want them, they can always unsubscribe, but
Okay,
And
that's
this
good.
is all by email, Logan?
yeah.
So we have a broader process and it sort of overlaps that, but I think this does this. So at some point we
So
should
if that
pull
be the
them.
case, Gail, should we try to have something similar to like the pastor's breakfast or something towards the end of March or the first of April, just to get this group that we got right now at least
Yeah.
started?
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Someplace.
Yeah.
Either,
Cause
yeah,
then we got Easter flowing towards the end of April, and
Yeah.
then you got summer coming, and
yeah,
we may not have everything like we wanted to have, like with groups and all these things we want off of them, but at least we can get them moving a
Plugged
little
in.
bit.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and the other piece is from a role standpoint, you know, it probably makes sense to just sort of figure out who should do what within the process if we agree with that process. So the introductory mail is there, and there might be some follow-up emails that are on that list of things, but we should just make sure we know who owns what piece. The other thing that CCB can do, it can actually put work rules in place. Let's say when it's an event, you get a new person, then there's like 3 or 4 things that are required after that, and it can assign people to those tasks.
okay.
So we just gotta build it in so that it's
Yeah.
consistent.
Yeah.
So I'm good. So we do have the list of who we would consider new then.
Usually after I send them a first time guest email, I move them over to the core group of people, but I can easily look back and see
Yeah.
who's most recently been added. It's
Cool.
not difficult.
I guess.
Alright, so then let's get that to Gail, cause
Okay.
she'll put the event together.
Can you put
Go
in
ahead.
like a step in between that, Logan, like a transitional phase or something,
Yeah,
where we have like, cause if we get this like we're thinking about, we're gonna have like a little checklist we want them to go through.
yeah,
And so at least we can put like checks or whatever, hey, they've completed these, or they haven't completed this one, so we can rotate them through the system of assimilation, I guess, for lack of a better word.
yeah. We could
Before they
create
have
like a
turn
form
loose.
and
Yeah.
CCB and just say, hey, we'd love to get to know a little bit more about your journey.
Yeah,
And then
no,
would you be interested in sitting down for breakfast with the pastor?
I
Just
like
to
it.
understand a
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
more.
perfect.
But that
Yeah.
could also
is
be a
perfect.
follow-up.
'Cause it-
Yeah, no, if we can agree on the process, I think it'll make it simpler, so everybody make sure you review that and say, okay, I like it, I don't like it. And then we can put the steps in there that are by role, right? So
Yes.
you'd have a role if you're gonna sort of gather them up for an event. Logan would have a role, cause there's some stuff we put into the system and we interact and communicate. And if we find any places where we don't have anybody, we'll just figure that out.
I think I like the Connect cards because they're very simple, but I also think I was thinking last night we need to get like prayer request cards
Okay?
separate from that long one with all the information. I think we need to separate that because that card is so broad that you don't really know who to give it to. I think we should have a prayer request card and make people aware that we have a way for them to be prayed for, and also a serving card. So something like the Connect card, but a little more in depth on the areas they can serve in, and they can check mark what it is. That way when we have like a pastor's breakfast, we have these things to show them
I love
and
it.
say, if you want to get plugged in, here's a quick list of things you can serve in, or if you need prayer, here's a card for that. But I also was thinking that we should have like a basic, like, I've decided
Mm-hmm.
card where it's like, I've decided to either be baptized or I've decided to accept Jesus, because I think we want to get to a point where we are having new people, but there's obviously going to be moments where those new people haven't accepted Jesus yet. I think it's important to track the people that have accepted Jesus in a service or have been baptized, which we've done the baptism part, but I think
good.
we should have a simple card where people can make that decision.
Love it.
And proclaim it, and then we can reach out to those specific people and
Right,
then let them know how
that's
they
really
can,
good.
Love
how
it.
they can grow.
Hooray, you get star today. That's a good idea.
What?
I said you get stars today.
No, I think that's exactly right. Awesome.
Because
So,
we need to track them without
Well,
bombarding them and being
And
all
we're so
Christian.
like, I think we're so used to just like the same people on
Mhm.
a Sunday, which is okay. That's how it's
Yeah.
been for so long that like we don't even think, like we haven't even thought about, oh well, is that person even a Christian, or have
Great
they
point.
even accepted Jesus? And I mean, we want to get to a point where we're growing and there's a mix of people who have accepted Jesus and
Mhm.
people who are on the brink of it, and we're helping them get there and giving them the tools to get there.
good.
Mhm.
I think maybe to start that'd be good, but I would like to think that as we get this thing all in the process and get everything rolling, that that's what the groups would start taking care of.
Mhm.
That would be the part of the praises that they'd be giving in the service or
Yeah.
in this kind of meeting, you know, hey, so-and-so just came to the Lord, blah, blah, blah. and
No,
This kind of, you know, to keep up that community atmosphere, but in the beginning of it, it just sounds like a lot of cards, but I don't think we have any other way of doing it right now.
no.
Yeah, there really is.
But I think we need to track it now because we don't have the other things in place on the backside.
Yes.
Mhm.
But once they get in place, I think then we can kind of get rid of some of the cards and all, because the groups will start taking care of that stuff.
Well,
And as long as because we learned this through small groups before, they still need an administrative platform of some type to give those reports.
that's exactly
Yeah.
what I was
So I think
Still
we're on the
needs to
same
be
page.
administrator over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so you entered it, but then when we get together, we just review it. Hey, this week I didn't realize so-and-so
Yeah,
got saved.
yeah.
So that's why CCB can be important to us, because it'll be that foundation. But I'm with you.
I think in the beginning too, a lot of it will happen on a Sunday morning,
Agreed.
which will become our jobs as
Yeah.
a church to, and your job to kind of track who's being saved.
Absolutely.
And the front desk people, I think that becomes very important.
Agree. Absolutely agree with
Yeah.
that. So I didn't want to volunteer you too much on it. But now that you've said you're doing some of the tracking of new people and things like that, let's just be clear again on roles so people don't, you know, everybody knows, okay, make sure Logan gets the cards, make sure he understands who's new if we can.
Yeah, and Sherry was doing a good job of it, but she's not here every Sunday.
Uh,
So I think there needs to be a person that kind of like when she's not here, you just, I mean, I think everyone should be able to get handed a card.
Yeah.
There should always be one person that it comes back to.
Right.
And I don't mind that being me because I'm already doing that stuff anyways.
no, we definitely need that. And there probably needs to be a conversation with Glenn to make sure
Yeah.
that we know
Set
that.
up a box or something, unless
That's
we already
what I was
have
thinking.
one.
No, I want to do that.
That way, we're not having to find Logan to physically hand him a card, it'd
Right.
be just like offering.
Yeah.
Anybody that gets handed a Connect card, just make sure you drop it in a box, and at the end of service, Logan or whoever's in charge can go to that box and
And then we can
collect all of them at one spot in one place.
easily direct people to do that as well. I think it's
Mhm.
Yeah, if you-
it's a lot easier
yeah,
to
no,
just
drop it in
yeah.
the Connect box.
Well,
like hand it to someone, especially if they're new.
They don't know who that person
Exactly, or they might not always feel comfortable.
is. Yeah.
So the other piece, and we've talked about it, is the kiosk, right? So
Yeah.
instead of the card, I mean, if for some people, they just, hey, let me just type in that quick information, as long as those kiosks are somewhere that's obvious and it's attractive. So we should also think about, and that to me is a short-term thing, cause it's not expensive. I don't know where it falls in terms of the groups, but I'm thinking from an open perspective,
I
do
feel like
we
it's,
wanna do
I
this?
feel like it's, as far as those, are you talking about the groups openly, or are you talking about the initiatives?
I'm talking about the initiatives.
I would think that
How do
that
you
would
think that would
fall
fit?
kind of under sanctuary look and feel, cause that's kind of an experience of being, you know,
Uh-huh.
part of the experience of coming in is how to be able to actually connect.
Interact, yeah.
So I would think that that would probably fall under the sanctuary
Okay.
one.
I tend to agree with you there, because you're right, and so I don't wanna over prioritize it above something you guys have, but let's keep a track of yeah, we want kiosks around so people can either do offering or connect or prayer, and, so that should be, on the, on the cheaper side of things.
I think we can definitely do both very easily.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people like the physical card, and some
Agreed.
people like being able to just do it quickly.
Yeah,
Well, I like what you
almost
set
set
up.
like you can almost set a station up, kinda like you got the
Right.
t-shirts, you got a kiosk, but they've also got a little set there with some cards and pens and a
Yeah.
box.
Mhm.
Yep.
So they can choose if they wanna fill out a card, they can, if they wanna just do the digital version real fast, they can do that, whatever they
Yeah.
feel comfortable with. for
Well, I
sure.
like that, and that's like 3 or 4 of those stations, they're obvious, they might even have something that sticks up and says,
That's what I was
That's
thinking.
what I'm thinking.
Because like if
Cool.
you have the t-shirt thing, why couldn't you have on the opposite side, make a thing that looks,
connection.
yeah, that kinda looks the same as the t-shirt thing as far as
Uh-huh.
the background goes?
Yep.
But then have things that have cards and maybe a little explanation by the
So
card,
what
Yeah.
I'm kind of
and then the
thinking,
box there or something.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm thinking of, those like signs that are always in like the middle of like a mall. It's like a metal frame and it has like a picture on the
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
sell
yeah.
those with like boxes attached to them. I think if we just set like 3 of those up in the hallway, just so you're kind of forced to walk past it.
Right.
And obviously, if it has a cool picture or graphic, you're gonna look at it.
Yeah.
If it's your first time and there's cards set up there and a pen, you
Yeah.
can easily just fill it out.
Mhm.
I like the idea of that and doing that for offering as well.
Mhm.
Giving people more opportunity to give, and that way they don't feel like they have to give during
Right.
service, but it's like whenever I have the chance to or if
Right.
they want to.
Or right afterwards, if the offering's
Right.
already gone, they still have an opportunity to do
Right.
that. Yeah.
I think if we just set a
that's
few
good.
of those up in the hallway, I think that would look good, and I think it would catch a lot of people's attention.
Mhm.
Cool.
There's
So,
the rye.
to John's point, let's make it part of the sanctuary experience team, or items on that list. Yeah, I'm good with that. Alright. So does that answer all your questions?
Yeah.
And yes, you own let's gather the people together and
Yeah.
do the breakfast.
Okay.
I've been thinking about that a lot, of having some sort of like onboarding,
Yeah.
like first time, like, hey, let's meet the pastor, let's ask questions like we did with Stephen and Tiffany.
Yep.
I think that's really important.
Cool. Alright.
Yep.
I am there. Alright, so that was Embrace. Anything else on the Embrace?
One more thing, right?
Yeah, go.
Don't you have like a size for these meetings, a number in
Um,
mind of what was too much, what?
My impression is you get over 6 people, so it's like 2 families, including their kids. Yes, we do invite the kids too, because they can
Mhm.
sit and eat while we're talking.
Mhm.
You get over 6 and it gets a little much, because then it's hard for people to ask questions.
Mhm.
And I think it's more intimate if it's
That's-
just like
yeah.
6 or so people. You guys agree? Because you were there, John was there through at least one of them, so.
To do them once a month, once every other month?
I don't know if I'd schedule them.
Okay.
That's the thing I would shift.
Yeah.
I would actually talk to Logan or somebody and say, hey, we got a critical mass yet? Do we have like 6 or 7 or 8 people
Yeah.
that we would pull in the
Well,
room?
we do have a
You know what I mean?
class right now.
I agree, so that's, I'd
We
kick
have
it
to
off for
kinda get
that.
Caught up with what we have first, that's why I asked for numbers, again. We wanna give you
Yeah.
10 families, and it's.
I know, and that won't
only
work. That won't work, it'll
That's why I
overflow.
was asking if you had a number in mind for the work for you.
I got you. So, yeah.
So if we set them up, say monthly or something here the next 2 or 3 months, we ought to be able to get caught up on the number of families should.
Yeah, how many
Mhm.
families do we think we have? If you were just gonna guess, Logan, what would you say?
How many people?
I wouldn't say families, but we have Salem, Lesmore, we have that couple that's been coming the past 4 weeks.
The older couple?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is 4, and then
Caitlin.
I think Caitlin would
She would
enjoy
probably-
asking questions. There's another couple that's like they're off and on because her boyfriend lives in a different state.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
There's Carl and Brittany, we've never had a conversation with those guys. I mean, there's probably 8 to 10 people, I bet.
Okay, so we have 2 or 3 of them anyway, just bang, 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 and go from there.
I'm good with that.
And then,
Just-
so the
just
process is
caught
they're
up.
inviting, they accept, then we schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
At least to get caught up with what we got going on anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. So good, I like that and bounce back and forth. He's gonna get the list and he's gonna know who needs to,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna be like, okay, I'll sort of gather them together and we'll figure out how to do breakfast. Again, invite the team leaders too, this team.
Yeah.
You know, I don't wanna fill the whole room with us, but I'd certainly want people to feel like, hey, you know, Dustin, you can come too. I mean,
Yeah.
and interact with people, especially if they're age appropriate,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
right? So if there's a 20-something in there, I'd prefer if you guys came.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You did a great job last Sunday, by the way.
Thanks.
That was really nicely done.
That's what I heard.
No, he was focused and tight and professional, and you inspired
awesome.
me to get involved, so that was very, very nice. Cool.
Thank you, Dustin.
All right, so we good with Embrace?
Yep.
Okay. Sanctuary team.
Are we able to?
Put this in.
You wanna switch it?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to without the, shoot.
Are you trying to
Oh,
pull up the stuff
Yeah,
that you
actually,
can plug
can
in
you-
mine?
Can you do this? I wanna show, we've got some stuff on Dropbox, that we went through at our last meeting.
Yeah.
So we split our last meeting into kind of 2 different portions. The first half, we reviewed what we had went through at our previous meeting, which was all of the purchased item things we wanted to do, and just kind of came up to speed on all of it, and then talked through what our next steps are there. And then we shifted over and we were talking more about the processes and the training that we want to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can, whichever one of you guys gets there first, I don't know.
Just gotta tell me where it is if you.
Sozo.
We're in a race.
At one point, we might actually need to use
Yeah.
Dustin's computer because there's a spreadsheet.
All right,
I know.
cool. I'm good.
Remote.
You just gotta switch it.
That's fine. Remote. It's better.
Boy, our meetings have come a long way, haven't
Yeah,
they?
sure have.
So nice.
Must be cool.
There we go.
Cool.
Can you open up, I got a picture in that folder first, which is just the, yeah. So this is basically the first half of the meeting. We went through kind of where we are on the initial set of purchased items that we had on the list, and then what we've already got done and what we still need to do. So, what was on some of the things that were on the original list were the hallway speakers.
Yep.
We got all of that done, now ordered the speakers, and him and a group of people came in last Tuesday and installed the new speakers and stuff. So the hallway stuff should be
Done.
done.
Did he pay for that? No? Okay.
There was the stage monitor, we got that finished. Trying to think of some of the things that were on that original list that, we knocked quite a few items off of the original list, so this is basically where we are now.
Okay.
So we still have the symbols, that we wanna get. Dustin did some research, found some packages, it looks like about $700.
Okay.
Will replace everything,
Mm-hmm.
and to just replace what we wanted, well, actually, I can let Dustin speak to it, but he's the one that did the research.
Yeah, there's like, we can buy them as a whole package for like a whole set of symbols, or we can buy them individually. And there's really two main ones that we need, but when you buy them individually, they become much more expensive than just as the pack, because the pack would be like 700 for like top line symbols, like, but the two that we really need would be a ride and then the 18-inch crash,
Mm-hmm.
and those together is like $550. Yeah,
Right.
so
So it's like you buy a
and
set.
yeah, so if we buy the set, we also get hi hats, which by themselves are $350,
Okay.
and then another crash, which is $250.
Okay.
So in total, it's like, if we bought them all individually, it'd be like $1,000, and we would also get, but if we buy them in the pack, it's only $700 for that
Okay.
exact same amount, and getting them in a pack is better anyways because they're designed to have a sound that works together
Mhm.
instead of like mixing and matching.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good. All right.
And they'll also last a really, really long time. Like they'll probably last us 10 years or more
Good.
easily.
Well, we certainly haven't invested in that in a while, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the stage things are done. I got the whole list. The stage things are done,
Stage monitor?
the
Yeah.
stage monitor thing's done, the speakers in the hallway's done,
Yeah.
the symbols are in process, is that?
Well, that's, yeah, we gotta
Yeah,
decide.
Oh, we have to decide on it, okay. And then the other ones were the signs
And banners. That'll be done.
and the mic, the
yeah.
signs, banners, and Pastor Steve's mic,
Yeah.
and the
Don't worry about
network
that mic.
cables.
I wouldn't worry about
Well,
my mic.
the mic, well, kind of going through the list here, so we got the symbols, the signs and banners,
So
is
that's
the next thing on the
800.
list.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's also 800, Dustin and I
Yeah.
measured.
We measured and then got the size we would actually need it to be and priced it.
So it'll be
It's a
like-
lot
Oh,
cheaper.
so it's like
like,
half
Oh,
of
that's good.
For
Are those the sanctuary banners?
Yeah, eight banners.
8 banners will be
Right.
like 800.
Outstanding.
And we'd like to get the symbols, then the signs and banners, and then the networking stuff, that's what the little BE is.
Mhm.
At the end there, it's before Easter, we'd like to get all that done before Easter, if
Got it.
possible.
Mine's watching the live stream.
The speakers are finished,
Yeah.
so your mic, Steve, is already, your mic is already spec'd, and according to Nell, someone already designated money for it, so it's basically taken care of at this point, it's just a matter of making the purchase.
Okay.
So Nell is in the process, he's gonna be in charge of handling that, but that should that's what the little check marks
Got it.
for.
So it should be
It
done.
should already be,
Mhm.
we just gotta get it.
Okay.
Then we've got the projector, which is still kind of up in the air. At this point, it's kind of just a nice to have thing, because we did do some of the setting adjustments on our current one.
Mm-hmm.
That will certainly get us by for a little bit, so if there's, higher pressing money purchase stuff, then we
Yeah,
can
you'd
shift that
wait
money
for that.
over. We don't necessarily have to push to get a projector right now, but
But it would be nice.
I would say now what we just decided on this list is also the Connect card kiosk stations,
Yeah.
which I would say money wise would certainly take precedence over the projector at this point, so.
Okay.
So yeah, we would just have to add that onto the list.
Okay.
The network cables, there's no money necessarily that's gonna go out on that, because we need to get some stuff for CTS as well for the back offices.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna get enough to do everything that we need to do. So the network cable stuff is just gonna be pure labor, getting people together to run cables
Okay.
and wherever Nell feels like we need to have them. And then the drum heads, Landon, that was something that you had brought up. I think
We had purchased them. Yeah, they're already purchased.
you already got them. So that was another item that we wound up adding on the list, but again, that it should have a check mark next to it because it's already taken care of as well. So,
Gotcha.
so from a financial standpoint, there's really not a lot of additional purchases that need to be made from the sanctuary look and feel team side, other than the electric, which the electric, as we've been saying, teams with the facility side, so that's really the biggest ticket item right now is
Yeah.
Okay.
whatever we're gonna do with the electric side. So we kinda reviewed this, I still have to put all this stuff on Red Booth and, you know, summarize it all together and put something together to officially present to the board to see if we can get the approval for the funds, but once we were done with this, we shifted the meeting over and we talked more about training and what the different teams are, in the sanctuary. Dustin and the guys, probably a year ago, I think, went through and it actually put together job descriptions for the different
Yep.
groups in the sanctuary.
Remember that.
And so we brought those back up and kind of started to review back through some of those items. So Dustin, if you can go to that spreadsheet.
Just out of curiosity, how much for the speakers?
Um,
And that's just for like always speakers and
yeah,
stuff?
just for always, yeah. I wanna say they were like,
400.
were they that much?
Really?
I don't know what the
Always
total
speakers.
cost
I
was.
thought I heard it was cheaper
I
than
thought
that.
they were like $35, $36 a piece, but I
Oh,
don't
really?
know what the final cost was.
Okay.
Probably a couple, $200-$300 maybe total for everything.
Curious.
Well, that's good, because you had like $1,000 on it,
Yeah.
so.
Yep. Yeah, and on the monitor, I think we had $300 for the stage monitor, and it was like $27. We just had to get a little coupler piece, and
Oh, that's
we
good.
already
Wow,
had everything
good.
we needed, so.
That's good.
So these are basically the different groups for everything relative to the sanctuary team, but also these categories apply to the youth room, the jungle room, and then as you kind of go below the jungle room, some of these teams start to fall off, but
Yeah.
certainly sanctuary, youth, and jungle house, jungle room, pretty much all of these teams apply, and that was part of one of the things that we had talked about, that as we're kind of going through and we're establishing this, to also keep those other two areas in the church in mind as well, because whoever is in charge of these teams for the sanctuary should also be in charge of those same teams and making sure the same basic equipment and setup and everything else is happening in the other rooms.
Yep.
And so you can see across the top there, we've kind of got them colored, divided. So you've got a soundboard team, and then they listed out who the current people are that are running soundboard. We've got the lighting team, which includes the main lights on the stage and then also the spotlight, and you've got the people there. The video media team, which are all the video cameras and Pro Presenter and the splitters and everything. Then you've got photographer, and then the last category there, stagehands. Currently, we don't have anybody there because we don't technically need anything at this point, but the idea would be as we go forward that we can have the opportunity to do more things like
Yeah.
the Valentine's game that Glenn did, and
Yep.
once we start to do kind of more prop kind of interactive things,
Mhm.
you're gonna need a
Yep.
stagehand crew,
Great.
people to come up and move things off the stage and put the pulpit back and all this kind of stuff, so.
Mm.
That's kind of a long-term team, that's why it has an NA on there for right now, but, so the four main teams there, the soundboard, lights, video, and photography, on the soundboard, Landon and Nell and Caleb talked around kind of, you know, Nell's thing that he does the who's responsible, who's accountable, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And the three of them talked and kind of came to an agreement, and I'll let Landon give input on it, but I believe that the agreement was that Nell is the accountable, what's that?
It was messy. We just need to have a meeting right now. Like currently, I'm the only one that knows how the sound system's wired, and we need to have a meeting so we can update everybody and let everybody know of the three of us exactly how everything's put together. I'm just still trying to manage to get with Nell so we can do that. Caleb knows it roughly. He sounds more confused about it than I think he actually is. Like if I actually showed him everything, he'd be like, okay, that makes perfect sense. But I think he's just because it is different and changed a little bit after we talked to this guy.
Yeah.
But as far as what you guys talked about that night, is that still staying that Nell is still the accountable guy and,
Not necessarily.
Yeah,
I need
it's-
to talk to him about it,
Yeah.
okay,
and then we need to talk to him about it and figure out exactly what the deal is before we bring it to the group.
okay. So there's some discussion that needs to happen with that team as far as, you know, who's officially overseeing everything and, how the whole kind of structure flows. They did just have a pretty high-level professional sound guy come in and help them readjust things, and I guess he actually wound up removing some speakers and made the system sound even better than adding speakers. So.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
And what give a little bit of background on who that guy was and what his background is and what he's done.
So he was my one of the children in my grandfather's class, and when he was a children's pastor.
Interesting.
And he got a degree in actual like audio engineering.
That's fantastic.
He's toured with the Newsboys and a couple other bands around, just all around the U.S. And he worked at the Underground all the way up until it closed. And as of right now, is full-time like lead of sound at Crossroads in Clifton.
That's good.
Got it.
So I mean, he's been doing this for about 20, maybe 25 years. And I was talking, I had him come in because when we first got the full band up there, we were having some issues. Everything was like really, really muddy with the speakers, and we wanted to make sure we could get it cleaned up some. And so I had him come in, and was really only expecting him to help me mix my band. And then he,
I know how that works.
Yeah, then he showed. Showed me, like, he walked up and I showed him the sound system, how everything was, and he was like, well, I mean, if you have this many different kinds of speakers in a group like this, they're gonna all hit people's ears at different times, and everything's just gonna sound crowded and messy. And he took away like literally half of our speaker setup, and then changed the kind of speaker that he used, and we ended up, it was like twice the quality of sound, like immediately with half the stuff.
That's good.
And
That
actually
sounds good.
more volume with it.
More is not always
Okay.
better when it comes to some stuff.
So what we did with the teams, so the sound team still needs to have kind of discussion of who's actually going to be, in charge and who's writing the training curriculum for that group. But over the lighting team is Dustin, the video media team is me, photography is Logan. And so for each of those teams, our takeaway from the meeting is we are going to begin to develop training packets for each team. Dustin, can you go to one of the templates?
Yep. Is it? I think it's in here. So this is one that I've actually filled out too. I think the only ones that we have done right now are the soundboard and the spotlight. But so they'll all have different training requirements, where for spotlight it's a pretty simple, straightforward job. So training requirements are just full completion of the training checklist, which is this document, and then one service shadowing a trained spotlight operator and one service supervised operating spotlight. And then at that point someone would be deemed ready to do it on their own on a Sunday.
Okay.
So the training checklist, they all follow the same template, which is 5 parts. The first one is the why, 2 is the requirements, 3 is understanding the hardware, 4 the uses during service, and 5 the do's and do nots.
Okay.
So yeah, first off the why, and then this is for every job, they follow the same template. But Spotlight's essential to provide good visuals, yada yada, so people understand the purpose and the reason for what they're doing. And I think it's just as important to just explain why visually, but also to explain why spiritually it's something valuable, and how they're helping us move forward with that.
Good.
Requirements are as simple as arrive at whatever time they'll be required. Like for Spotlight, you have to be comfortable with heights, everything like that. Understanding the hardware, obviously that's straightforward. Uses during service basically explains what they'll be doing when and everything like that, and then the do's and do nots, it's more specific details about it, like place the light on the target's face, center the beam on the face, not where the target is standing, because most people will try to like when we're shining on, you try to shine on your whole body and center it on your center of mass, and then sometimes it'll drop off your head. So it's like, no, center it on the face, because that's all that people are really trying to see. So like, just simple things like that. And Spotlight's a really easy, straightforward one, where if you like go to the soundboard one, the training requirements right off the bat are a lot more stringent. So full completion of the training checklist, 1 month shadowing a trained audio engineer, and 2 services of operating the soundboard and audio setup and sound checks with supervision.
Mhm.
So that's right off the bat a lot more difficult, or not necessarily difficult, but requires more to be good to do it on your own, and then
Okay.
all this is longer and more to it than
Good.
but this is also, it's
Yeah,
almost more
it's
like
awesome.
an orientation type of training rather than like a full getting a grip and understanding of like how the audio's set up and everything like that. It's more so just for training people like to come run the board on a Sunday
Okay.
and getting people kind of oriented into the team. But ideally, this spreadsheet we have here will only put names on here for people who have like finished that training checklist and are officially deemed trained to run whatever thing it may be.
Good.
So
That's really good.
I think just thinking through, since we're doing finding your fit, this would be a good example for somebody to take 5 minutes and say,
That's
hey,
exactly
for
what-
instance,
That's what I was just gonna
if
say.
you are excited about the fact that we are trying to be excellent at presenting the gospel, talk to us, because we got these 5 roles and we're building the team, and this is an example of where you can
Very
get
good.
connected.
Yeah.
Somebody just doing that, and you can show a couple of pieces to it. If it's just a list of here's the roles,
yeah,
or here's, you know, you guys had some, I saw Logan had some pictures of people operating the soundboard and stuff up at the top. I mean, I think that would be a great announcement.
yeah. I made the same thing for the front door and like the lobby teams too.
Okay?
So that could be, I think we'd need to do more work and talk on figuring out exactly the way this one works, but I made like a similar thing a while ago for this, so a lot of these names are probably outdated and changed, but
Yeah, it's good.
yeah, if everyone remembers when we went on that. So if we want to present all these options, I think it'd be good to flesh this out a little bit and then present this alongside the sanctuary team.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It gives
'Cause they're-
people something easy to look at
Right.
too, that they can
Yeah.
just read over quickly and say, and I think sometimes the why is really important. I love that piece because it tells people, that would get somebody's heart,
Yeah.
you know, and they
That's
would
the
say,
key.
oh, wow, I really connect with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we want the trainings to be in 2 different phases, like Dustin said, the template that he had, that's kind of phase 1, and it's kind of really high level. It basically trains someone to be able to go up and know what buttons to push.
Yep.
But if something goes wrong, they're not necessarily gonna
Right.
be able to fix it, somebody
Right.
else will have to come up and fix it. But then phase 2 of the training, we wanna be able to go way more in depth in each of the categories, so that they're not just trained on how to push the buttons, but if something goes wrong, they actually know how to fix it, so.
Yeah.
You know, with the video side, the example that I gave was on the phase 2 training, I wanna go into, you know, color temperatures and lights and how that affects the camera colorization and composition when you're filming somebody in the camera, rather than just, here's the record button, here's how you zoom in and out, you know, here's how you stop, here's how you rotate, you know. So there's 2 different phases that we wanna develop, so our first action item is to go through and at least establish the phase 1 version of the trainings for all the teams.
Mhm.
And then once we have that established, then go in and start to develop the more in-depth phase 2 version of the training. And then start to roll those trainings out and get people, you know,
Awesome.
brought in and
Awesome.
stuff like that.
I'm a big fan.
So that's where we are on the sanctuary look and feel. As far as presenting this, I think that it would go well. I don't know if you had a chance to see the bumper video that I made
Which one?
for this series.
I thought I did, because it was like last week, wasn't it?
Yeah. You called
yeah,
it.
I
I'm pretty
did.
sure I saw it, because I think I made a note on it.
Yeah, you did.
So that bumper
Okay.
video, I think, plays really
Yeah.
well into presenting something like this because
Agreed.
it says get involved and it talks about the media team,
That's where I saw the
the-
picture.
kids and all that kind of stuff. So I think that that can all fall really well into promoting, trying to get people involved, and
Mm-hmm.
Dan's got his cowboy hat on in it and doing his last.
Yeah, that's right. He did.
But like I said, the other piece to this is we talked about the fact that, hey, we gotta make sure that we're not getting so, that we're only focusing on the sanctuary, but that we broaden our focus and make sure that these same teams and the training and everything else also falls in for the youth group and the jungle room.
Mm-hmm.
We set a camera up in the jungle room this past Sunday and filmed the entire service. Dustin was gonna review it and kind of watch how the service flows and try to get some thoughts around lighting and stuff like that. And then Dan and I talked, about the different equipment and wanting to come in. And so between myself and Dustin and Dan, as far as the actual equipment goes, we're gonna go in and try to get all that stuff set up to Jerry to,
Yeah.
what your
Yeah,
point
that's
was
my
as far as the setup on the sound booth side and all that stuff. This past Sunday, we kind of tried to start to get the ball rolling there. We talked to Nell, he says from the sound system side, he said it's all set. So he said they went in
Cool.
and they got everything good from the sound team, so now it's just a matter of the lighting and the media side to get those up to par in the jungle room. The youth room, I think, well, one, it's being used for Embrace Night. We don't really obviously meet with teenagers right now, but early on, I know these guys did a lot of work in there to try to bring a lot of these systems up. I think there's some stuff going on with the speakers or something that you guys are wanting to do some updates with, and I think Dustin, you said that you had some other stuff with some lights or something you wanted to do, but I think for the most part, would you say probably 75–80% there in the youth room? The jungle room probably. Yeah, at this point, yeah, the jungle room is definitely the highest focus
for
as
now.
far as getting the equipment and everything up, so.
Yep.
And then even from a photographer side, for the jungle room, obviously I know Logan has gone around and you're getting Malia involved and stuff like that, but, I don't know what the kids might be able to do if some of them have cell phones or something, but it might even be fun to, see if they have cell phones or if they have something to be able to take pictures or whatever, if they can send those pictures somewhere. And obviously Logan, you're in charge of that, but some sort of a creative thing that we can maybe even do with the photography back there to get the kids kind of feeling like they're somewhat involved in what's
I
going
would
on.
like
That's
that.
absolutely good.
Um,
Yeah, I think that the thing that's working really well, and it's a blessing in disguise, is that we're forced to get the young people involved in stuff because we may not have a big thing in the back for them. It's a blessing in disguise. So I'm good with continuing along that track because now you can actually show them more places they can get involved. So, and even if you wanted to do tomorrow, if it wanted to be both the sanctuary and the front door, if you wanted to sort of mix that and say, here's two areas we can talk about, and you're seeing the excitement in both of those areas, but hey, just understand there's opportunities for you guys to serve in those two places. And I think that would your video captures more than just the sanctuary. So, I love it.
I wonder if we could do the same kind of situation for asking for volunteers with the kids as time goes on. Can we film, maybe not film, but just, I know we've taken pictures, I know Logan's tried to take pictures. The kids are kind of tricky to sneak up and get photos of, but something along the lines of if we make one of the jobs in the children, space it all out with the children's and who's involved right now and how we need people and all that and show photos of that. And I wonder if that would stir anybody's hearts to wanna volunteer. I'm just
I think it
throwing that
does.
out there. I mean, we just,
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's kind of the point of this
Yeah,
teaching series is
that's
to
what
try
kind
to
of what I
try
was
to
getting
stir
at.
that.
stir
Yeah,
that for
Say, come
all
on.
areas. And
yeah.
again, with the bumper video that we're going to be doing, and we'll we'll show it every week. You know, it basically it pops up and it says get involved, and then it shows media team, sound, all that, but then it also says Sozo Kids, and there's
Okay,
some video of
Yeah.
Dan teaching in the jungle room,
And then
Tara
Okay,
in,
good.
in the nursery, Angie and Trinity in the preschool. So
Yeah.
you know
Okay.
the goal and the idea was to try to get all areas, even
Okay.
grab some video of Glenn and some people for the front door team, and
Yeah.
to be able to open it up for to say, hey, we got a big selection of areas where we need.
yeah, okay, that's.
So
good.
between
I
that and
haven't seen
then-
the videos.
So between that and then, you know, we can put this together for the sanctuary media front door side. But if you guys kind of develop the same general thing for the kids, I think we could,
Yeah.
I think it would be good to maybe one Sunday present this, the next Sunday focus on
Yep.
the kids over the next few weeks of this series, and
I love it.
maybe
I mean,
have
now's
each
the time.
piece a focus.
Now's the time. And we did get a volunteer for the kids ministry area.
We did?
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Somebody reached out to me and said, hey, you know, I would be really interested in helping with the kids.
Somebody reached out to you?
Yeah.
Answered prayer right there.
No, it'll, I think between the social media stuff, which is always presenting visually, I've always been convinced that a visual presentation gets people's hearts instantly.
Yeah.
So
Well,
when you see
yeah.
smiling people on Instagram, it's like, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, or you see, you know, his face and a couple of people smiling, saying, come get some coffee. It has a huge impact.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Dustin
So-
Dustin did a pretty hard push too when he was
He
up
did.
there this past Sunday,
He absolutely
specifically
did.
for volunteers in the
Fantastic.
children's
He
ministry.
did.
Yeah, good.
So it worked.
Yeah,
So let's
in
keep doing it.
Virginia.
And the other piece, and I don't wanna miss this point, in the past, we haven't had a good landing zone. And we haven't had a discipline around, so here's the roles,
Right,
here's
right.
what your responsibilities
Exactly
are.
right, yeah.
We're gonna train you, and I'm sort of over the area
I gotta
where
go to
people,
the CTS meeting.
right,
Well, I
where
mean, we
people
had
feel
some,
like
but
they
it's-
can come and it's like,
old.
I'm not just
Yeah,
showing up.
you're right.
It doesn't,
It's not updated, yeah.
no, it has nothing to do with where we are now, so
What
that's.
is that? What were
I
you
said
referring
we've
to?
had things like this in the past, but
Yeah, you can't, you gotta
it's
update.
nothing,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't, it doesn't equate to what we have now,
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah,
everything's changed.
Yeah.
So it's just
definitely
good,
needed.
it's good. Okay,
Just one quick thing, well, back to equipment, I didn't know we were moving on, so I didn't jump in, but there was a, Nell just sent
Well, yeah.
some drums, did you see that? So, so there was, a list that he sent, I just didn't know if any of the items on the list that he sent that we would have access to,
Huh?
if any of that matched up with anything that we needed,
oh, you mean the stuff he sent from Vic?
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
I'd
the
let
mics
that
and
team,
stuff.
I'd let those guys worry about that.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
didn't know, I just wanted to make sure there were, people saw it.
Yeah,
And then-
everybody's on the list there, so yeah, it's just a bunch of options and the
Yeah.
team seems to be pretty effectively focused on it.
Okay.
So good, thank you for doing that. So anything else on the sanctuary team? I think it looks like it's moving really well,
Yeah,
so we should be excited about that,
I agree.
all right?
Yep.
That's that. Quick on the values, one of the things I wanna encourage us is two things. Number one, we know EMI is coming up on the 23rd. I actually want as many people to go to that as possible. The topic is listening for heaven's sake. I think it's really important, because if I look at our values, and I don't care if anybody wants them or not, but we put them together, right?
Yeah.
And so, we wanna increasingly
Thank you.
focus on them so
You
we
wanna see
stay
one?
true to them. So I think a great example is sometimes we as a group get a little snarky and we sort of jump on each other a little bit.
Snarky.
And
Me
so for some of us, jumping on us is fine, for others it's not. So always say to yourself, be sensitive to how you are received by other people, okay? Because that'll keep us really generating good ideas. But here's the values: authentic, open hearts and minds, relationship first. I was just trying to capture them and focus on what it was we thought we wanted to do. Eventually, we want behaviors that go with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see on Red Booth, I used an example and just said, hey, for instance, if we're going to be open hearts and minds, then there's, we listen better than we listen more than we speak. you know, we take time to appreciate somebody else's idea. There's just some behaviors that go with it that will reinforce it. But the other message I wanted to send here is, at any point in time, based on your gift, you're gonna have a strength or a weakness in one of those values. So for instance, and all I did was score it 1, 2, and 3 and said, hey, if it was high, it's a 1, if it's not so high, it's a 3, it doesn't make it low. So if I look at mercy gifted people, the authentic, the open hearts and minds, and the relationship is gonna be top priority for them. Number 2 priority is gonna be, well, they grounded in the word of God and responsibility, maybe not so much. And then the last one would be, you know, the kingdom and vision and passion. They're more relationship oriented. Doesn't mean they don't care, but they prioritize. But the interesting thing is, if you look at other gifts, what do you notice? Look at the prophet. That's the other end of the spectrum.
It just changes, yeah.
It changes. So at any point in time, in any discussion, any one of us, because of our gift, will have a different priority about that conversation. For the prophet, it's going to be, I want to talk about what's true, or what I believe is true. For the mercy gifted person, it's no, you got to make me feel like you care. You see that? And so each one of the gifts is going to have a bias one way or the other, and we should remain aware of that. That's my only point. And the other thing that I brought up last time was, sometimes we look down on each other because we're not the same. So a prophet will look down on a mercy gifted person because you're sort of mushy and, you know, he's talking about the soft stuff, but I'm going to deliver the truth, and that's love. And you know what? If we start beating each other up that way, which we sometimes do, we will not last. And we certainly will not be together. Or the flip is, the mercy gifted people is like, they're so arrogant. Those prophets are just arrogant. They always talk, they think they're so I mean, you'll get into those conversations. Because I know we're naturally going to have those conversations, I want to head it off a little bit. And I want us to get around the values and say to ourselves, the only way we can reinforce all of these is if we do it together. Pause.
Sure, yeah. That's true.
The only way to deliver it, because a Landon's going to be really authentic, I believe. He's going to be one of the examples. A Gail's going to be one of the examples of open heart and mind, right? Accountable, that's going to be somebody else potentially. But together, if we lead together with those strengths, we'll be better than individually.
Right.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
This is one of those things that the body has to sort of learn from one another. It's no, you're not the perfect archetype of a Christian, and so we just model ourselves after you, or me for that matter.
Right.
No, it's when we're a team, we actually can do more of this stuff because we can focus on it. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think that's one of the, I keep having like the body vision, and it's like, that's why over and over we have to think about the body and the church, the way that the Bible uses the word, the church and the body.
Right.
We don't always think of it as, we are the church, and it's not just us.
Right.
It's every gift and everything. It's a combination, and the body, again, the body can't work, the right hand can't help if the left hand's not working, and it's like just keeping that mentality of we all have to work together to make the body function.
Right.
If something's wrong with one piece of the body is not functioning correctly or effectively or in Christ-like manner.
Yep.
So if we keep all that in our head, I think it will force us, well, for me anyway, that's the image I try to keep, because it forces me to give more people grace.
That's
because that is not my strong point, but they're good at it, even though it irritates me. That is their gift, and I have to get past my personal irritation about it, because God gave them that gift, and I have to respect that gift whether I like it and how they deliver it or not.
Well,
and I also have to give them grace in that maturity level of how they use that gift.
That's important, and you got to recognize where they are. So yes, you can have an immature prophet that doesn't know how to regulate, and so they come at you strong and in your face, and they alienate the heck out of you. But it's a gift that's immature, and all of us will be subject to that. A mercy gifted person, they can't make a decision. They can't be tough. Every so often, or can't step up, is mushy and can't deliver bad news. I mean, that's an immature gift. It's still a gift,
knows
and it's
one well.
beautiful. Just a couple. Okay? I got one I live with, but
You're
it's a
describing
gift,
it
but
to
it's
a
just
T.
immature. But the beauty is she's become tougher. How does she become tougher? Because we rub off on each
I
other.
was
Guess
gonna
what
say
happens
that.
to me?
Mhm.
Guess what happens to me?
You get softer.
Yes. It
Right.
just is what it is. It just, you
Yeah.
naturally influence each other towards a better place.
Mhm.
So we will naturally influence each other toward a better place.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if we're gonna minister to people as they come in the door and actually live to these values, it's gonna take all of us.
Yeah.
It's
it
not
is.
just gonna take
It
one.
is.
There's nobody that's perfect, and all of us are perfect together. So
Mhm.
that was the message. Again, what I think the next step is behaviors against those,
Mhm.
so that we can then say, hey, man, that's not being, I'm gonna hold, you hold each other
We
accountable.
need to, yeah.
You say, whoa, 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 hold on. That wasn't to whatever, You're not really modeling the way we wanna lead together, and we have to have a consistent view of what that is. Fair?
Yeah.
The vision statement at the bottom is just as close as I've gotten to it. You certainly critique it and just say, hey, Steve, this is not really good, or, this'll be, something else will be more helpful for people. But again, as we went through that strategy session, I thought we got close to that, okay? The other, thing, and this is just interesting.
Would you mind if I made a comment?
Oh, sure, yeah, go ahead.
I think that is so important to the entire body of our church.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if we could, I don't know, teach on that, or, we have vision banquets in the past, that would be a great topic. Give everybody a badge, I'm a
absolutely.
teacher, I'm color,
absolutely.
whatever.
And I tend to look like this, right?
Mhm.
Yes, and then you would get the body
Mm-hmm.
looking at each other
Yes.
as, oh, okay, you're a prophet, oh, okay,
You tend to look like this.
teacher, you're,
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, no, that is where we're heading, but this team needs to embrace it first. Because then
Yeah.
people will say, well, what the heck was he talking about?
Yeah.
Well, for instance, I'm mercy gifted. My name's Landon, and I'm more mercy gifted than anything else, but that means I do this, but I gotta work on that. Okay? If somebody says, hey, I can relate to you there.
I think for the sake of the finding your fit teaching, I've been kind of thinking and praying about this recently. It's like there's not like in a church specifically, there's not enough things where every single person can find their specific passion, their specific, like, you want to be a painter or something, like, the church doesn't have a high demand for painters right now. But when it comes to these gifts, every single person falls into one.
Absolutely
Mhm.
right.
And so there's, like, you might not find the thing that's like your just heartthrob, like this is the thing that you just absolutely love to do as an option, is something that you can do in the church, but it's important that people know that there's a kind of person that they are, and that maybe, like a servant's probably gonna wanna just do anything, wherever we need help, they'll do it. Teachers for the kids, there's different things, and you can find, once you know what that is, what you can
Yes.
do as far as what we have
That's the key.
available that you would fit into as far as that goes. So I think it's important. I think it'd be good for at least like some sort of like low level understanding of this idea
Yep.
to be implemented in the whole church.
That's right.
I think for like these jobs for sanctuary, front door, whatever it is, we should categorize them and almost sort of rank
Mhm.
based on what these traits mean.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for whatever somebody would fall into, rank like if you're this, you'd be like
You'd be
like out of 5, like you're 5 out of 5 likely to fit in this position.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
That
you know,
should be-
kind of come up with a
that'd be great.
ranking like that for each position, so if people are looking at it, it would actually be really cool to even like put them in like a database where you basically could be like, I'm this,
Right.
and then it would rank, these are the best jobs, like you just hit enter and then it
Yes.
comes up, these are the best jobs for you,
Mhm.
ideally, based on those traits. And also I think that maybe this is just me too, but I think I have like a general understanding of what all these are, but
Mhm.
I think it'd be good for us as a team to dive into it and make sure we're all 100% on the same page.
Mhm.
Reese,
Isn't that what the thing is?
is that EMI?
That's part of it. So that
Okay.
part of the track will be, let's all get some basic skills.
Yeah.
that are interpersonal skills. So I gotta be able to listen, to speak with love, to renew my mind, are just basics.
Mhm.
But then I like your idea, which is, okay, let's go one level deeper and say, okay, given a mercy gifted person, what do you normally have to work on?
That's
You got-
kind of what we were thinking for the and series, right?
Yes.
It's like diving deeper into like this and that, not this
Right.
or that. It's like it's all of these things and all of us together
Yeah.
as a body is what it comes out to. And it might seem repetitive, but I think it's important. And I think
Yeah,
each
well-
step there's a deeper part to it.
Absolutely
And,
right.
like,
But does
We- we
Marty say
wanna-
something? Oh, sorry.
Well, I think he's showing the path down the hill or up the hill, right? So first, understand there's a body. Then understand how the body's broken up. And so sort of get focused on that. Now, take your body and apply it somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, okay.
And I think it's the
Right.
same thing. And his point is, look, we gotta get past the paradigm of there's a perfect thing, there's a perfect person. No, there's a perfect body, there's
Right.
a perfect group.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's me and you.
Right.
And that will cause teamwork to happen, but what you will identify, and I agree with you, is, hey, let me find my fit even within the roles you have,
Yeah.
based on my gift.
Yeah.
And if I love hugging people because I'm mercy gifted, don't put me behind a camera because that's not gonna work.
Right.
Right.
I'm gonna have this tension that says, no, I wanna be out in front, so I'd rather be on that team.
I think it'd be
think it
really
gets there.
cool for us to develop, like, at these kiosks that we make. Basically, now I don't know how much of it we would have to develop from scratch or how much we could find online, but somewhat of a personality test based on these
Love it.
gifts.
Mhm.
So you take the
Love
test and then it outputs what you are,
Yeah.
and then that would also output whatever positions would be most fitting for what your gift is.
Yeah.
So we'd have to come up with, and like my dad said before he walked out, that we would need to come up with something just like this for Sozo kids.
Mhm.
That would include like preschool and nursery and
Yep.
every piece of the jungle room. Like I don't know how many helpers you need with that, or if you still do puppets and everything, and then somebody for the booth, and so yeah, we would want to get all of that lined up, and then just have people basically take a quick, maybe
Yeah.
10, 20 questionnaire, and then it will output, the ranked what they would fit in most.
Yes.
But then obviously, there's an element of choice in it, but that way
Yeah.
it's at least
Gives you a
organized
framework.
enough that
Yeah.
they can be like, oh yeah, maybe I really would like this, you
Yeah.
know?
And to your point, and also your point, the idea that you could find your fit in your church is a big idea.
Yeah.
Everybody's still, I had Malia come to me and say, you know what? I'm glad this is a church with relationship because I'm so used to churches where it's just Sunday. I was like, draw drop.
Yeah.
She was recognizing it. No, we're getting to know each other. But then the other piece is, look, when you come to church, you should find a fit in your church. There should be someplace you play. If you remember 24 to double, the secret weapon here is they had a tool like that. So I'll share that with you and you give me your feedback. We may need to make something more unique than that, and we can add certainly our areas against it, but they tried to do that so that you could do an online test and you're like, oh, I'm mercy gifted and this is what it means to me. And here's some places in the church where, yeah, I actually could do some stuff.
I think that also, when Logan was talking about people walking into the church and some are saved and some are not saved, I think that anybody can do that. And
Yeah,
I
they
think
should.
that, if we don't make it too, if we watch the wording on it so it doesn't
Yeah.
sound so Christianese,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
so
if it's just like a
churchy.
personality test.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But then you
Um,
show them afterwards, like, hey, you might actually be really good for Sozo Kids,
Right,
for,
right.
for
Yeah.
ministering.
Yeah,
Oh,
and we can reference it back to the gifts of the Bible and all that. We can reference that back, but not, I don't,
Initially.
yeah,
Well,
it
but-
sounds kind of bad to say, but don't tell them initially it's in the Bible,
Well-
but you know what I mean.
No, and what we should teach them is, regardless of whether you're a believer or not, these things are in operation regardless.
Yeah.
Right,
They're,
right.
I don't care
This
where
is
you're
true.
at, you were wired that way.
Exactly,
DNA,
that's how you were
Yeah.
And
created
then when you
regardless.
become a believer, now we go up a whole nother notch, but
Yes.
that's who you
Well,
are.
I think-
Yes.
I think that'll help, like, draw them in even more, because it's almost like I didn't even realize I was wired this way.
Exactly.
It's
Or
like,
that God made me this way for a
Exactly.
purpose.
right,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
that, and now you even have a bigger purpose, and then you feel even more inclined to, I feel like,
I think you're right.
have faith in
Yes.
a God, and it makes
Yes.
you have more of a purpose and direction.
Yep.
No, this
So it
has,
might be stirring more than we think in our hearts if
I
we
think so too.
show something.
and I'm absolutely in love with the idea of doing a quick survey online that's branded under Sozo and says, hey, we're gonna help you find your fit.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
love it, absolutely.
Mhm.
So good, let's keep moving it. This last thing was, and we don't have to look at it, it's just a reference point. And again, it reminds us that different gifts give us different capabilities, and it's about different churches, and I've shared this before, that says a church that's led by a particular gift obviously starts to look like it. So a vineyard looks
Instead
like
of-
a vineyard.
Instead of covering the whole.
Yes.
All of the
The
gifts,
the
yeah.
good news is you can look at different churches and say, oh, that's a teaching church, and look who's leading it, a teacher.
Teacher, yeah.
And these are the fivefold gifts. It's a different level of gifting. It's the leadership gifts, and they're much more spiritual, but it determines where their focus is. And it also biases them in a particular area, and that's why you have disconnects and debates between churches. That's why some churches are like, wow, you're not reaching out to the poor enough. Well, because that's the kind of church they are.
Right.
Or you're not studying the word enough. It's because that's the kind of church they are. Our challenge is to build a team that is broader than just one gift.
Yes,
And
yes.
therefore will actually accomplish all
All
of
of it.
that.
Yes.
It's not easy. I don't think you can make a huge church like that, but I think you can make a reasonable sized church like that. And it is that we sort of rise in our gift. We come from the motivational gifts to the leadership gifts, and we are led by a group of people who have those gifts, if that makes sense. But it'll change. And again, the other answer for us is, if we thought we were prophetic before, we don't have to stay there.
Right.
We shouldn't be strictly prophetic.
Mhm.
It's not good enough. God really intended that we would be led across a broader spectrum of gifts, and people would therefore get healthier because they had a mix of those things. So that was it. All right, so EMI is coming up on the 23rd again.
Do we have hours yet?
It's from 8:30 to 5.
Whoa.
It's the whole day.
Wow.
Anybody who wants to be trained and be part of the team leadership, because there's going to be, if we get 30 people here, it's probably like 9 teams that get breakouts. So they're asking us if anybody wants to walk away from this thing with a little bit of training as well, then we put you in those team leader roles, and we would help her facilitate the sessions.
The breakouts?
The breakouts, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And the breakouts are pretty clear. It's like, here's what you're gonna do. You're just gonna help people ask questions of each other and go around the room and do some stuff. It's not complicated, but if you feel a desire to become a little bit more of a help in that area, so that eventually we don't have to have them come in and do it, we can actually do it ourselves.
And that's here, right?
Correct. 23rd. We will need some promo starting up pretty quickly to get people
only
who are
2
in the
weeks away.
church to say, yeah, I'd like to come too.
No, I thought we were doing
Maybe
personal
out
invites, that's what we decided.
Well, we should probably
Maybe
do them.
Wednesday.
So if we're,
Versus
That's what I thought you were, that's why I didn't.
Versus doing an announcement.
yeah, I think we're gonna have to do both in the 2 weeks. So I would love for everybody in this room to say, here's 2 or 3 people I wanna personally invite to the EMI. And if you need more information, I'll get it to you. But its basic premise is to help us be better at working together. And there's some basic skills, listening, speaking in love, and renewing our own minds around things. And so this is the first of the modules. Huh? Well, then we'll find out.
Do what I tell you.
There you go. There's some gifts that believe that's true, right?
Listen to him.
I know he's kidding. But think about
Is that the master?
3 people. Everybody sort of make in your mind 3 people that you want to invite. I think we should do an announcement tomorrow, because it's a couple weeks out, and although most of this team, I'm thinking 10 of us are going, but we want to fill it, and so there's probably 20, okay, so
Wonder if
10 of
any of
us,
us-
regardless of
Did
who
we
it is.
decide
I
that?
wonder if any of the CTS people,
Ask John.
yeah.
But
Might
let's
be
think
others.
about people we want to personally invite to it, okay?
What were you saying?
I think it'd be good to try to invite all the people that we have volunteering for us,
I'm good.
as many people as we can. But, you know, and I think that they would want to come.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a now proposition, so wherever you think, it's gonna be, make that list pretty quickly and start talking to them. We do wanna fill it up as close to top, to full as possible, and that's 30 people,
Yeah.
okay?
In the activity center, right?
And yeah, it's gonna be a mixture. In the activity center, we may do a couple breakout rooms.
But isn't there a main teaching first and then the
Yeah.
breakout groups are later, right?
Well, I don't know if they're later, I think they're interspersed.
Oh,
Depending,
they're,
Yeah, it's like meet
In
in big group and
sections.
then breakout.
yeah,
Meet
and
in
then
big
they
group, then
regroup.
breakout.
Yeah.
I'll get the full schedule if you need it, because we gotta work the logistics of it, but we'll need you guys to just start encouraging people to come. Okay? That's EMI, facility. What you got, man?
Not much, we're looking towards getting the parking lot done.
Yes.
Gonna try to get it done before Easter, no promises, but that's what our goal is. I didn't hear back from the Dawn, so I gotta get a hold of him just to get his input on it.
Okay.
And go from there before we make a decision on it, go from that point on.
Okay.
The only thing that I'd have to do is get with John and you guys to make sure that when they're doing that, that you guys can get in and out for your office stuff.
Yeah.
Cause it'll take probably 2 days, or we'll have to be off of it for a day or two anyway, once it's done. Okay, so that limits your access getting back to the offices,
Yeah.
so you can address something that way.
When they do it, are they repainting it like the lines as well? Do they do that? Okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
It's gonna be blue though, right? Unless we request, yeah.
Purple, Tara's choice.
No, that's Mike's favorite color.
Well,
Is it?
you know, as far as the traffic in and out, I mean, just off the top of my head, I'm like, why couldn't they park at the park and walk over?
No, we
Well, they've got
can't.
the trucks
No,
though.
Yeah, they got, well,
We just have to
still.
work out the logistics
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
it.
you just gotta tell them
For
and make
example,
sure.
we're doing it
Yeah.
today.
I mean, the other thing is, like, we park all over arrow boards back there and stuff too, so I don't know if we could, like, move them over there, but I'm sure we could
So
work
that-
out something.
So
They
we'll have-
usually do
we'll
like-
just have to work out something just so we can get in and out of the building, you know,
Yep.
those kind of things. We'll work that out.
And they're used to that, so
Yeah.
they can tell us, hey, we'll do this side on this day,
Yeah.
and we'll wait a couple days and you can move your stuff, and then we'll
Yeah, if they
do
split
this
it.
side, yeah.
I see.
They
We'll work all
usually
that
do.
out, that's not a problem there. The other thing is, we're trying to get a meeting set up, with the people to power wash the building and do the EFS work. Try to get that going and get it worked out.
That's the
Working
holes.
with us too. That's the holes, that's the patching around the doors, that's the cleaning off the building, that's
Right.
putting the paint job on we're looking at,
Yep.
et cetera, whether it's 2 coats or 3 colors or however you want to do it from there. So that's in the works also, it's coming out through there. Anything else?
And that's not before Easter, correct?
No,
No.
that's
Yeah, the
what
power
we're-
wash is over, okay.
That's
That's
hopefully
a
by fall.
process that
Got it.
has to be done this summer.
It'll probably take them a month just to get the EFS work done,
The
and
prep,
probably another
yeah,
month
that's-
painting and
Okay.
Prep is probably gonna be the biggest
all that
part
kind
of
of
it.
thing.
So the parking lot's the priority and that's where the money
Parking
is.
lot's the priority right now.
Okay.
The other thing that you and I need to talk about eventually is with the signage up, we're gonna put on the building.
Yeah,
If we want any extra outlets up there,
Yep.
for speakers outside or whatever else, it'd be nice to maybe have some of that done before they start doing the EFS work.
got it.
So then it'll be a nice finish once it's all done, kind
Got
of
it.
thing. But we've got to figure out
Where's that sign?
all that, do the sanctuary part of it too, so.
Okay,
Anyway, that's a different conversation, but that's kind of where we're at with facilities.
good.
Going from there, I know Jerry's got some projects here in the church he's wanting to get done with life right now, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at, guys, with that stuff.
Okay.
So there's stuff in the works, there's stuff moving. Hopefully by Easter, we'll have a nice looking parking lot. Coming to the curb.
That would be a good pop.
Well, we're working
It'll make it
on-
look nice.
We're hoping, but it's not, we haven't had a response from them to school yet.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
And part of it, if it's gonna be warm, have to pay,
Yeah. Yeah, we can heat the parking
Yeah,
lot.
I'm not worried about the weather.
We'll work it out.
Yeah, they're doing
That's
it
right.
into October, so. I'm
Okay,
sure.
thank you. Awesome, the signage is gonna be the thing that's gonna be painful, but anyway. We'll get the easy stuff done. Easter, anything on Easter?
We'll have all that stuff either by Wednesday or Friday. And
What
then
stuff?
like all the promotional stuff.
Awesome.
So then hopefully by, I don't know.
The promotional stuff?
Yeah, because of the 4 pieces that are associated with it.
Oh.
Yeah,
I got
we
you.
are making a
I'm
big
sorry, yeah.
splash. This is an outreach opportunity.
Yeah.
There's 4 slices that you can be involved in, and we encourage you to be as many as possible.
Yeah.
And it's very diverse, lots of variety in terms of what we're offering for different groups of people.
Okay.
So yeah, we are pushing at promotions.
So that'll be either done Wednesday or Friday, and
Okay.
then we can start promoting online and our website, and then printing out stuff to start having that available on a Sunday morning to give to people to invite others.
Yes. Outstanding. And you guys have the flow.
Is somebody looking for a tent?
Yep, there it is. Huh?
Is anybody-
Well, it was a suggestion, you tell us. In other words, we toss that ball to you, and you tell us whether you think, as a group, we want a tent for
Well, I thought it
the,
was a done deal.
do you want it?
Why, if we're having it outside, why not?
I mean, I'm good, we just gotta
I mean,
organize and get
It
it
is
in.
spring and it could rain, so.
Yeah, anything can happen, but we also did say, if it's nasty, we would move indoors. So it's not that we're forcing you to be out there. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I just thought the tent was a done deal. That's why I didn't know if I was supposed to be looking for a tent or something else.
No,
Looking
Tara will
for a
get the tent. She'll get the tent since she has those
I'm
contacts.
gonna have we're gonna have the same issue though with,
It would have
Just
to be in the grass rather than
cost.
parking lot.
yeah,
Oh,
it's got to be.
It has to be in the grass, 'cause I think you were saying
Well,
you
they-
prefer it not to be.
Well, they have a different type. So the kind that we got last time, we had it installed, but we can install those ourselves. The tents that don't have to be in the grass have to be installed by them.
Yeah, 'cause they probably have to put a spike in.
No, they don't, they use something else.
Okay, so, I mean, they installed the last one,
It's
so.
called it has a hard outer shell or
Okay.
hard roof, not roof, but it's just made differently.
Okay,
We just wanna make sure if we do that in the parking lot, that they are available to tear it down afterwards.
yeah.
So we don't wanna waste space in the parking lot
You don't wanna
for a
leave it out.
massive tent, no, not on Easter Sunday.
Depends on how big it is.
It'd be fun.
We wanna make sure we have room for people to park.
I mean, that's a consideration for sure. Let's get the data, let's figure out what we got.
It sounds like, it makes it look festive, I think.
Depends where you
If
put
the
it.
only thing we're doing outside is
Well, I
the
have a
thing at
question.
7 a.m., then
I
it's a
don't even
waste.
Yeah, well, let's get the
People
information.
wanna
I don't
get
even
out
know if this is doable, this is just some little thing that just popped in my head. But is it possible to put like, when we have the parking lot done, put like a pole down the parking lot with a lid over it, so we can take it off and stick a tent pole in it?
To put a what, a tent pole in it?
Yeah,
I mean, you can do anything you want
But I mean, if we're talking about getting a parking lot done, that might be prime time
to put a
consider
pole in
having
it.
that, if we're
Like
gonna do.
sink, some
If
kind
we're,
of,
yeah, if we're gonna, where we have the base, the main poles of the tent anchored in the
Got it,
ground
Mhm.
below the parking lot,
right.
you know, and then they would just have a little, maybe a metal cap or something that fits over the top of it.
That's a
Is
possibility.
it possible, if we're gonna continue to do these kinds of events, maybe it's worthwhile checking into doing that, so we don't always have to stick it in the dirt
Oh, I get that.
or in the wet grass, you
Okay.
know?
So let's see what they do when they put one in a parking lot. Cause it may be they don't need anything, it's just, it has to be rigid enough to not move when the wind hits it. So let's figure out what the design of them is, cause it may have changed a lot. That's what I'm thinking.
I know, what I'm saying, you know,
And if it's gonna be costly for a tent, I'd say scrap it.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
it's gonna
see
be-
what
I
it
don't
is.
think we're
It's gonna be
have
about
a bunch of
$600.
people.
What's costly, what's costly to you?
that's what we paid last time.
Yeah, it is.
To have it set,
So
to
give us
have,
your
to have
gut
them do
feel.
it.
I'm good with people saying, nah, I don't wanna spend $600 for that, cause I think there's 10 people and, you know, it's not worth spending that money. I'm good with that if that's what we come to.
Would it be
So
time
think
you
about
want it over, like
So I
setting
really
up
don't
chairs
think
on
we'll
the
have a
over
whole lot of people
drive-through?
for the sunrise. I just,
No, I agree with that.
yeah, well, I mean, if we have 25, I'll be impressed.
I mean, 25 would be outstanding,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah,
Well, and some of it's dependent upon how we promo it.
yeah,
So it's gonna be a lot about, if we put a tent out there, I would really hit it hard.
mhm.
And I'd say this is
And the other
really,
thing is, we'll talk about that a little bit, instead of having a tent, we have it underneath the awning.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, you know, there's ways we can get around this, not necessarily having to spend an extra $600 to $800 on a tent.
yeah. So think about some of those options.
But,
Let's get the details
And I
on
will,
this thing.
I'll get
And
you
then
some.
think about some of those options. I'm good with, you can put an awning out off of the drive-through. Yeah, you can do all kinds of things.
Yeah,
And I'm good either way, but remember Logan's point, I think, is fair, which is whatever you put up, it's gotta be out of the way probably for the main service. So, good. All right, so is that all for Easter? Easter.
Worship set already
Yes, sir.
decided. It's
Good.
about 35 to 40 minutes based on what we got up there right now.
Uh-huh.
Wanted to kind of like let you be able to see it for sure, so that way you can know where we're gonna be leaving you off when you're coming up.
Right.
We're looking to redo the song Rejoice at the end of the set, come back up at the end and play it. It's a real upbeat one on the way out. But yeah, just everybody see songs on there you like. That's what we got planned for Easter.
Does anybody feel like that's too long?
I'm rattling around my head thinking about because remember, we were gonna do song talk.
That was for Good Friday, this is actually for Easter Sunday.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
And we said we wanted to make Easter kind of like a worship
mhm.
oriented
Yeah, that-
service.
Yeah, I thought it was opposite. I thought it
Yeah,
was
that's,
worship oriented on Friday and then.
right, that's what I thought.
No, it's both. Like, no, I'm saying like for the service, how we usually do something special for a special Sunday. Worship is gonna be that
It's
special
the
piece.
Yeah, I get that.
Instead of like a skit, like worship is just gonna be very
Yeah.
powerful.
No,
Yeah,
and I'm there, I'm
Yeah.
parked there. It's just I thought on Easter, we were gonna have pieces of encouragement in between the songs.
No, that's Good Friday.
Yeah, that was for Good Friday.
Let's look at Good Friday.
Yeah, here's the Good Friday.
Yeah, that's where you had talks in between. In between.
Yeah, and that's gonna be like
So-
an
on
hour
Easter,
and a half.
on Easter Sunday,
Got
in
it.
between is the video, the testimonials. Remember?
Yeah, and that was supposed to be in between your teaching.
Right.
So the worship, at least from my understanding, was a one full piece.
Yeah,
on
I
Easter.
agree. Worship was
But
the
obviously
intro.
nothing's set in stone, so if we have different
No, I'm good.
ideas or plans.
Just
Yeah.
trying to get clarity.
The testimonial videos are what are the
For Easter.
encouragements. Yeah.
Okay. So go back to the Easter one?
I don't think 30 minutes is too long.
No,
It'll
not
probably
on
be
Easter.
35 to 40.
Not on
Yeah.
Easter.
Yeah, you're answering, okay, is that too many songs? And your answer was, not if worship is the point of the
Right.
service.
Right.
Mhm.
And I tend to agree with that. If worship is the service in by and large,
Yeah.
then no, that's not too long.
And unless you wanted to do like one break of some sort in between, even if it's a welcome or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
You know,
Kind of
people-
intro.
Well, because sometimes people, during worship, people want to stand up
They
and
do.
worship, and that's a long time for
Yeah,
some people to be standing, so sometimes if you let them sit down and take a little,
an
even
intermission.
if it's 2 minutes.
Well, you could do like a welcome and announcements, and then be like, okay, stand with us as we head back into 3 more
I
songs.
think to her point, you'd have to,
Worship,
yeah, you'd
yeah.
have to break that in half somehow.
Okay.
Or have the first 2 or 3 and then the next 4.
Yeah, I would do the first 4 and then break,
Okay.
and then go into the last
It
3.
doesn't have to be
Okay.
anything long or,
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like too.
I wouldn't do announcements, because that would probably
No,
just
that'll
take you
take
you
out
out
of
of
it,
the
but
flow.
yeah,
Yeah.
like some kind of a welcome or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it could be as simple as the team just plays background music and
Mhm.
somebody just exhorts for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Even from the stage, just like, hey. just
I think
take-
starting from the song above all, like that entire rest of the set, people can kind of feel comfortable to be able to sit if they would like. It goes in like much more slow,
Mhm.
worshipy type songs
Mm.
all the way through Old Rugged Cross, and because he lives still, it's still sort of that way, but it kind of builds up into something more
Man,
more
I'm sorry,
powerful.
we'll have some pretty
Yeah.
upbeat parts, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and you know, even in there, I'd find a way to put the scripture against each one. And again, I wouldn't bring somebody new up, but I might just remember, you know, you're almost telling the story through pieces of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe just a member of the team just says, hey, old rugged cross, you know, let me just share the scripture that reminds us that, you know, Jesus took the cross for our benefits, you know, just
Yeah.
something to bring them into the
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't overplay it, so I wouldn't do it
Right.
for all of them, but I'd pick a couple
Yeah, they're important.
that would sort of draw people in. But other than that, no, I think it's just splitting the songs a little bit and sort of connecting with them from the stage,
Okay.
and you're fine. Good.
Wow, that's a good hit right there. I
Yeah, it
mean,
is.
Just to have that much done already
Yeah, I
is
know.
amazing.
That's outstanding. Good. So go back to what was it, Good Friday?
Yep.
It's a Good Friday.
I keep doing that too. No
It's
joke.
who you are. Right.
We were talking about, we had Good Father on our set list.
I know.
And I kept accidentally calling it
Good
Good Friday.
Friday. And you can start out that way.
Oh my gosh.
It's a Good Friday. No, I'm good with this, yeah, because we talked about this,
Yeah.
about how you sort of mix it in there. And this is a worship set. Its intent is for people to worship with you
Yes.
actively,
Yeah.
through as much as possible.
Yeah.
It's a joyous thing, it's just a reverent thing, and so I'm good.
And we do wanna do a communion
Good.
to kick this off, so we'll have to
Good.
plan with that, probably just do the cups, or
Yeah.
the 2-in-1 things, I would say.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'll have to test the ones we have and make sure.
No, we're gonna get new ones. Those are old.
Those are old by now.
Yeah, we'll get new
They're
ones.
from last
They're
Easter.
from,
Yeah, they probably don't open anymore.
you can get a
We
bunch.
made that mistake one time.
It's like, oh, you know what? You just crush it and put it in your mouth.
You can get
Make it with the wafers, got the juice in it.
That's a good
There's a
idea.
candy
One
like that.
step communion.
That's like, just pop it in and you crunch that on it. Oh, that was good. All right, so we're good there.
Yeah, now I'd say we also need to, which I know we're getting to, but with like outreach and stuff to get people to this, we should, I don't know if now is the time necessarily, but we should definitely talk more about that, and I think we should plan a couple of events, kind of like, I wasn't there, but everyone did for the Sozo Saturday when we all went to, not me,
Oh, yeah.
but went to a park and
Everyone
actually
downtown.
handed them out. We should
Yeah.
do stuff, I think, outside of the building like that to
Uh-huh.
to get people here, because that's gonna, you know, I think that will be more effective than just announcements on a Sunday, which is the same old thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah,
You know,
gotta-
and to your point, we have some inspiring young men that love to go to malls, you know, and just talk to people.
Mhm.
The topic might be, hey man, you know, you've been saved by the blood of Jesus. I mean, I would start there,
Yeah,
but just encourage, maybe they could help us sort of
yeah,
give stuff to people and say, hey man, we got a service coming up and
yeah, that'd be
we'd
good.
love you to come.
And another idea I've had, I don't know if this is necessarily on topic, but an idea I've had as far as that goes is potentially holding some kind of a competition for the congregation of, I guess it would probably have to be a special Sunday, but whoever invites the most friends
Dude,
to
I'm
come
all
get
about
some little prize, like a gift card or something like that.
it. I like it.
I think that'd be a good way to just get the congregation involved in inviting people as well.
I love
To
that.
get them some incentive.
I love that.
Yeah.
And we can keep
I'm
it,
gonna put it
they
on
don't get
Facebook.
an Easter egg, right?
Mhm.
But they get something of value. They definitely get something.
Joy,
Yeah.
Easter egg.
Yeah, right.
The toy
No,
inside.
I love the idea. So think
Yeah.
about when we would kick that off. So you need at least 3 weeks prior to Easter
Yeah.
to get people, okay, I know what my task is. I
Mhm.
got some tools to go do it.
Yeah.
And let's do the competition. I think it's a great idea.
Cool.
I do. So let's keep that and just pace it out, well, you know, far enough away from Easter to actually get some people there. And actually, it would be far enough out to get people to any of the 4.
Yeah.
Agree with that?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, it could be you brought the most people to Palm Sunday. It could be you brought them to Good Friday. I mean, whichever one it is, maybe we add it up and just get people there, encourage them to come.
Well, when
Yeah.
I get back, I'm just gonna get my family and I'm gonna be the winner.
Look
Yeah,
at
if your
you.
family
No,
comes.
no ringers. No, nobody here can win. No, I'm kidding. I'm fine with anybody here winning. I love that idea.
Yeah.
Get the whole CTS crew here.
Yeah,
You know?
Be like,
That's
oh,
right, go
you get an
Rick. Hey,
extra day
Bob.
off or something.
yeah.
Hey, Bob, tell you what.
That'd be a
I'll
good
pay you a little
prize.
money if you just bring our whole crew here. That's funny. Alright, so that's Easter. Jungle Room, I think we touched on, so the last piece, any naysayers that say we ain't gonna get through it? We're getting through it. Details for tomorrow. I think it's big announcements over these next few weeks. I like the Connect announcement, anything we can do tomorrow that says, hey, there's an open team or a sanctuary team, and there's a front door team. Let's start encouraging people to get involved in that. The other thing is, I wonder if we shouldn't give them an update on this. So in other words, give Carol, say how much money's been given to each one of these funds.
I think maybe since
Give
we
an
talked
update?
about that last week, maybe skip this
Skip it this
and
week?
Talk
Good.
about, like, we can get the numbers for next Sunday
Yeah.
to really hit on that. I think this Sunday should be like what Dustin was saying, kind of explaining all the roles we have and the why of what we're doing.
Good.
And,
I'm good with that.
Mhm.
and all that, and the hoodies.
Oh, we gotta promo I didn't wear my hoodie, I was going to, but I
That's
said,
all right.
you too. He's the only guy in
Do
here.
you
We're gonna
have-
have hoodie day, by the way.
Yeah, do you have a
I did.
one?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
I have yours. Gail, I messaged you on Facebook and I never got a response, so.
Facebook?
And I
What is
texted you.
Facebook? Do you know what Facebook is?
And I
I
texted
don't
you.
like that too, I know.
And Dan, I have yours as well.
So,
I want a hoodie
Yeah,
though.
we'll get zip ups. Right now we're just doing the pullovers.
testing it,
Yeah, we
test
just wanted
marketing.
to see what they looked like and they turned out awesome. So I think we're gonna do pre-orders on Sunday.
Good.
Just
So that's one of the announcements?
yeah.
Okay. The only other one I'd add is EMI. I think
I think
wanna
we need to
start.
talk about
I'll
that,
talk about it.
'cause-
I'm fine with that. Cause I can connect it to what I'm gonna talk about tomorrow anyway, so that's not a problem. Not a problem. What else? Any other announcements or anything tomorrow?
So we have Finding Your Fit.
What's that?
It's called Finding Your Fit.
Oh, we do have a prototype, by the way.
Cool.
Oh, did we?
What about? Cool.
Please.
I don't know, we don't announce it much anymore, do we need to? Sometimes I feel like that's a bulletin thing. I don't wanna not talk about it, but I think
it's a
it's,
bulletin thing.
okay.
Especially if people don't know about it, it's kind of.
Well, unless we re-engage it and re-energize it, that's the other thing.
Well, how about the Amazon Smile
Yeah, that's
stuff?
right.
It's
That's
the
another
same
thing.
difference.
That's what I use, but-
Yeah. Well,
It's
I
your
kinda got-
preference what you choose, but I think if you give people just like the basic giving options, I think
Yeah, I don't know.
that's as much as you can do.
Yeah, I don't know. So then let's make it a point to put it in the bulletin. Here's 2 or 3 ways you can
Yeah.
help us.
Yeah.
One is Kroger, one's Amazon, and I
Well, it's
think
on
there's
all
a
the
third.
giving, it's on the website and the giving cards, all that stuff, all that information.
Oh,
is
I
on
didn't
there.
I didn't
know
think the Amazon stuff was in the giving cards.
Me
Is
neither.
So the
it?
Kroger thing is too?
Yeah.
The Kroger, really?
It's all in
Oh,
there.
good.
We-
Yeah, I didn't know
Do we
that
have to
either.
refresh the giving cards?
They're pretty
They
new.
get sort of stale.
No, I just don't, I think everybody knows how to give.
Yeah.
And that's where we're running into like I feel like a lot of the time our perspective is a new church with new people all the time,
Yeah, yeah.
which I mean, we wanna be there, but right now, like,
We're not yet.
we're not there.
Okay,
And
good.
the reality is that everyone kinda knows how
Everybody
to
sort of
give and
knows.
Yeah.
how their preference for giving, and that's why a lot of that stuff isn't being used, cause it's like, oh, I know how to give. I give every Sunday,
As
and this is
opposed
my
to
preferred.
support.
Yeah.
Once we start getting more people, I think we need to reinforce that stuff, which I've been thinking, which is why I thought of the prayer cards and the I've decided cards, because we're gonna get to a point where we have more people that we need to say, hey, we have these things available.
Got it.
Because we're so used to, like, we know everybody here, we
I know.
kind of know our way around a Sunday morning and how to ask people for stuff, but
Yeah.
we're gonna get to a point where we need to be ready for that sort of thing.
I think that's
Great.
an important
1000% agree
mindset.
with that.
Yeah, that's an important mindset. Something I probably learned in some kind of business thing about a small business has to operate as if you're a large
Yeah.
business.
Because
I
then
mean,
you're
you
not
have-
prepared.
Yeah,
Right,
because
right.
you have to be
You'll never
prepared,
be
and,
large.
and like we had when we had the childcare center, I would tell the teachers, yeah, you only got 2 kids in your class today, or even in the Sunday school class, yeah, you only have 2 kids, but you have to be prepared as if you have 10.
I
Right.
get that.
You
Well, I
know,
mean,
you
yeah.
have to have all the tools, all the little details
Right.
prepared
Gotta be
as
ready.
if your room is packed.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree
Yeah.
with that.
I think that's like what we've been pushing for the last
Mm-hmm.
past year. So I
Yeah.
think we just need to continue to do that. And I was thinking of doing something where we just have like a quick graphic of like every card. That way we're not doing like
Yeah, pick this one. And pick
yeah.
that
Like
one.
I think it's important to hit all, however many we have, but to not do it in like a mundane like
Right.
boring way. Like
Yeah.
here's a card, like we have a prayer request card, we have a connect card, we have a serving card, but then you have all of them and you can just hit a few. But then in the lobby we have a section where it has all 6 cards and you can just pick one up and it just
Mhm.
says get connected or something like that.
Good.
I think there's a way to hit all of them without being boring
Mm-hmm.
and shoving several cards at people's faces. You kind of
Yeah.
just give them the opportunity to pick which one they want.
Okay.
Hey,
The,
I
and-
found your message.
It's
a little late.
Right. And the Kroger thing, I'm encouraged that people are still giving the way they were
Yeah.
giving, right? So it's usually about $100 to $120
A
every time
quarter.
we get one. So, yeah, I'm good with,
Nothing.
I'm good
Yeah,
with
it is.
keeping it. I would maybe just make a footnote in the bulletin every so often and just, yeah, let's keep it there. and leave it at that. What else? Anything we're forgetting?
I think that's
We got through everything. Who said we weren't gonna get through everything? I'm not gonna point to it.
Not
You
for an hour.
did.
We didn't in an hour meeting like we're supposed to have.
No, but that's good enough for me.
Alright, Scrooge.
She does an hour.
I'm just poking at you. I'm gonna get you every time.
Oh, thanks.
Sounds good. We got 10
I'll
minutes.
get you tomorrow.
I know.
We're gonna do pre-orders tomorrow, so
Well,
I'll
let
get
me,
you
since
some
we have a little extra time.
Since we have more time.
Well,
He's gonna
Question
throw
out
something
on
in
the
here.
table.
Okay, so now we're in free space.
Do we want a cross pay about it?
You
Um,
want what?
What for what?
cross.
Outside.
Where, how?
Don't know, we just.
In the glass, I mean, in the grass, or?
You put it in the grass.
Anything I do a facade, I do
Put it
like
on tied to one of the
Do a
pillars up
projection.
front, we could put
Yeah, I
it
like
by
the
the
projection.
entryway, we could do it in lights as opposed to an actual
Well,
cross.
I would do a
Like that.
projection.
Maybe they should paint front lot lines.
You know,
I, s-
Yeah.
I'm still in favor of turning all the light poles into crosses.
That's what,
She wants to put the.
Maybe we should paint the
those
lines
things
in the
up.
parking lot to look like a cross.
Just
There
put a
you
big
go.
cross so you can see it from
And
space.
then when the cars park, we'll have to be.
Well,
Um,
maybe it's glow in the dark paint you use to
Okay, so
paint that.
now
cross.
we're off the reservation. So, I think
Creepy.
personally, right, that drops the eggs on the cross, right? So, I think that has to be part of an integrated picture of what the building's gonna look like eventually.
And it's long term.
Yeah, yeah. You're right.
So, I'm good with it, I just think it has to be a part of the plan. If we wanted to do something in the
I was just thinking
interim,
of something just for this.
No,
this-
if-
This time is what I'm.
you know what I would
thinking.
do there potentially? I'd get up, run a light up on the roof and project through a little cross onto the side of the building. That's what I would do. Cause I've seen that be pretty
And they have
impressive.
an Easter, I mean, they have the Christmas things that they shine up there,
Yeah.
they have one for Easter.
I don't know, but it's that idea.
I bet there
Just
is.
project it on the building. But, if you,
How big?
well, it depends. How close is the light
Mm-hmm.
and how big is the cross,
Right.
right? That's what it is, and it's pretty simple to do.
You get a spotlight on the top, it's a bat symbol, but it's a cross.
That's just what I was
That's,
thinking.
I knew
That's
somebody would go there.
Or we could
I mean, we can play with it, I think we can be creative, an Easter bunny, right? But the long-term plan of a cross anywhere in the presentation, I think has to be when we
Yeah, that's a
design it.
different question.
But
You could
no,
be
you
jumping
can,
on
tomorrow,
the
we can put a
twist
cross
it.
up there and shine it on the side of the
Let's
building,
just, I just throw that out there as a
thought,
thought, just
I get
whether or
that.
not we wanna be thinking about those lines and do something that way, 'cause
yeah.
in the past, one of the biggest negatives was no one
I
knew this
know.
was a church.
Nobody
or
knew
not.
this was a church,
Right.
and yes, we're gonna have to deal with
And
that.
right now, we have no signage at all.
right. But
Yes,
I
it's
think
so-so.
I think the important thing is that us having a cross on our building doesn't mean like doesn't sign I don't know.
Well, I mean,
It
it's
doesn't
a,
instantly make us a church, you know?
no, and it's the double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
It's gone, so nobody knows. If it was there, it wouldn't say you're authentic, I get that. And in the middle is, do you want to be honest about it's a church, right?
Well, I think there's
Sign
ways that we
is-
can
is a
portray
symbol
it.
that it's a church.
No, I get that.
I think it doesn't look like a church because it just, the building
Right.
hasn't
There's
been
another
touched,
thing
the
I asked-
parking lot hasn't been
I asked
touched.
Dustin about maybe some lights in our front window.
Yeah.
Did you come up with any ideas that way?
No, it doesn't seem like that would be, like, for just Easter, it'd be probably too expensive or too much work to get something like that set up.
That's fine.
If it was just gonna be used for like 1 week.
Whatever we do, we want it to be contemporary. I think we want it to draw people. And I'm not afraid of or concerned about putting a cross somewhere. I just want it to be impressive.
Right.
I want it to
Just
not
wanna
just
do it
be,
to just do it.
yeah, I want
Well, that's why I asked the question, we had some time to,
Right, to
to
think,
think about it. Yeah, let's
Well, I mean,
bat some
I'm not-
ideas around.
you know, as far as putting one on the building itself, I'm not sure it's necessary.
Right.
No.
I was just thinking about it being the Easter season, if
Good
you
for
wanted
Easter,
I get that.
yeah.
to bring in the specialness of it, or,
No, I'm with you.
you know.
Yeah.
It's kinda like putting a sign in your yard, you drive by the same place, there's no sign, all of a sudden I can see a sign.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody's looking at it, it's just another way of pulling your eye.
Yeah,
this
no, that's
way.
I think it's a fair point.
You know, it'd be contemporary
Uh-oh,
and also would
Oh.
definitely draw people.
he's got a smirk on his face.
A helicopter
With Easter eggs.
dropping Easter eggs.
But when do you do it? Do you do it at rush hour, the day before, or I mean, what do you do, dude? You can't do it on Easter
Definitely
because it's
rush
late.
hour. Definitely rush hour.
Rush hour the Friday
Fields
before.
Earl.
So it's a Good Friday
With a
Easter
green
egg drop.
helicopter that says so-and-so on the side. Just
Man,
drop it right over top of Fields Earl during rush hour.
is there a cross on the
Everybody's
helicopter?
And all the eggs have invite cards inside of them.
Right.
Then why drop it here? I'd drop it over at the mall. Good news for you, man.
That's a good idea.
I'd overfly the mall and drop it there, in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So, we are off.
Contact the Air Force.
Well, shoot, get F-22s to fly over. I mean, come on, man. So no, let's think about some creative ways. I'm open for something that would catch the eye and tell people that, you know, that some different things are happening and it is a church. But let's be creative about it. And if we do something, let's do something classy that would get people's attention.
I don't know, I
Like,
feel like-
oh,
I feel like once we get the lettering and it says Sozo Loveland Church, it'll be kind of like, and the paint and the parking lot. I
yeah,
think where we're lacking and it doesn't look like church is because the building is just old.
I mean, it's a good
And
question.
the parking lot is old
And it's never had a cross.
and I think we might feel differently after we get the parking lot, we
You're
might
right.
paint the building. we
After
might
we
do it.
get
Yeah.
some curb appeal,
Right,
it's
and
gonna
This is,
automatically draw.
I don't think it's because we like aren't, I don't know, I think it's because
I get
it just
that.
doesn't look like a church
Right.
building, you know? But-
Right.
no, we've wrestled with this for years.
Yeah.
I've had board meetings where it was like, are we gonna put a cross up or not? It has never had a cross, ever,
Yeah.
ever. And it's always been the question.
But mine wasn't for necessarily for a permanent cross.
Right, it's
understand.
for Easter,
Just for an Easter
Right,
thing is.
yeah.
So let's think about that. I'm good with thinking about something classy that would be different. that would draw
And
people's
that's
attention.
temporary,
Yeah.
just for Easter.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's what I'm around too. I'm all about a cross, but not necessarily permanent. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, because we don't know what.
Cause it has to be something different for the season.
Mhm.
For
You know.
example, when I grew up, okay, so in dance Sunday school class, for example,
Uh-huh.
we went out in the woods, got our, made the cross.
Made a cross,
Put it in front of the church in the ground for Easter.
yeah,
It was what we did as a Sunday school class project.
got it.
Not only did you have a chance then to talk to the kids about that, you got to talk to the parents about that, you also had some up front, and then we took it down after
I
Easter
get
time.
that.
You know, but it was just a way to get a little buzz going.
Yeah, and that's different for me because that's the presentation of something people here have done. But I like the, you know, it's an idea. It's absolutely a possibility.
That's the only reason why I bring it up, just as a eye catcher or something to draw in. I'm not sure that's the right thing to do, but it is.
No, I got you.
I know in the past, we've done different things with the cross in the sanctuary. with draping it, or putting the crown on it, or putting
Yeah, we
flowers
changed
on it.
that, yeah.
So we've kind of changed that up through the Easter season, and maybe even Christmas, I can't remember. But I don't know if we've still done that.
No, we do it.
We do?
Yeah.
It's the same.
No, we've done it. We normally, it's like a year ago or 2 years ago is when we stopped.
Okay.
Yeah, we would change the
Yeah.
color on the
Used to
cross of the
change the
sanctuary.
sash on it, depending on the season.
Okay.
things
So
of that
purple
nature.
would be,
But it was a subtle thing, you know,
Yeah.
unless you were looking around, you didn't even notice that it happened. per
Yeah.
se,
yeah.
Whether the seasons changed or whatnot.
Yeah, so let's think about that. We'll go with something unique. All right, anything else
Inflatables.
besides food? No, we're not doing that.
Are you gonna share?
Now, here's one that I did hear before that was classic.
The
Actually,
helicopter?
no, it wasn't a helicopter. It was landscaping that you could see from the berm that either had flowers in a cross or something like
Yeah.
that. So it was actually a nicely landscaped area up on the hill that you could see coming down the road. That was the last classy idea I heard.
Well, that would be easy.
I
You
don't-
just dig holes in the side of a cross, go up to Meyer, get some nice flowers, stick the pot down in there, and then when Easter's
Well,
over, you
that's-
take them out.
That's what the plan was back then. It was like you could do it in flowers.
That
or
sounds like
plants.
Kings Island,
Huh? They don't have a cross there.
not a cross, but I mean, they do like.
Well, I mean, Landon was saying put a baby Jesus out there,
Inflatable.
an inflatable baby Jesus. And somebody will come by with a pellet gun.
He's
Yeah.
definitely not a baby when he was being crucified. It's very
Ooh,
dumb.
historical point.
You know, like
Gotta watch that.
things.
What's that?
We'll get one of those.
He said he was definitely not a baby when he was going to the cross, so that wouldn't work.
Oh,
Inflatable
yeah,
baby
get one of
Jesus.
those balloon things that fly
So,
up.
Yeah, but it's
now it's
Jesus.
time to eat something, cause it's 11 o'clock, so appreciate it. We can sit and chit chat if we want to about baby Jesus. I've never seen one of those actually. If you go to Mardi Gras, there's probably a float like that.
It's actually you can find
It's unfunny.
You just get like have you seen the one thing of like the winking Jesus, like he's doing one of these and
For
giving the
lunch?
thumbs up. And he's
Yes, I have seen that.
Get one of those, but inflatable, like right there, just.
Well, why don't we just go back to who had the, touchdown Jesus, right?
The butter Jesus. You know,
The what? Did he melt? Yeah, he caught
big
on
butter,
fire.
the big butter Jesus.
He caught on fire, man.
Oh.
Alrighty, good. It's a good meeting.
So I've got some dates and
Put on the calendar.
So are you gonna share who would help the children, or is that still
No, I'm not
undercover?
telling you.
Oh,
That's a secret.
it's a secret?
No, it's Caitlin.
Who?
Caitlin.
Who?
Caitlin Clary.
Oh, Caitlin.
Nick's girlfriend.
Yeah, good.
Catlin. When you were praying for her, you called her Catlin.
It was
Like
really
having
funny, dude.
call
I
her
had a really hard time
late
not
for
actually
dinner.
laughing, and that's it. So
Dude, I was dying.
It's alright.
I
Because I said
talked
it
to
to
her
him
about
It was pretty fun.
volunteering.
Yeah, cause that's why it messed me up.
He
He's like,
was like,
"Look,
Lord, we
Caitlin."
pray for Catlin. I was like,
Oh, that's so funny.
what?
Is that what
We've been calling her.
Caleb
Well,
said
yeah,
was
but
her
everyone
name
calls
that
her
used to
Kat,
call
so
her?
that's not.
Oh, Kat.
No,
So
because I
that's
told him
one
that it was
No.
Catlin.
No, it's
as
cause
a
he
joke.
did it.
Oh.
So I'm gonna tell her, it's like you can blame him
We-
for that.
Well, yeah, we've been doing that. We've been calling her Catlin just to mess with her, and so it was just really funny hearing somebody accidentally do it. It's just like, okay, like this is officially her name now. At this point.
It's not.
It's pretty good.
Well, that's how,
Lugan, is it Lugan
that's
said?
how it's spelled, so you're probably used to that.
Well,
Bye,
we used to
guys.
me-
Have a good
see,
day.
we
Oh,
call her-
bye,
we
Gil.
used to mess everybody's name up, right?
Yeah,
That's a guy thing.
yeah, it was Jem and Tanya.
Jem?
That to them all. We did that to them all the time.
Stop.
Jem and Tanya.
Quit it.
And
Joe?
yeah, we should grab it. Yeah, I don't have my book here.
Give up.
Yeah.
Dang it.
What's up,
But also Brian and Jake.
Oh, about to.
I mean, it'd just be like I guess it wouldn't necessarily be that.
Oh, it's supposed to be warm today.
Give us together.
I won't be here next week because I'm going to Europe.
Oh, cool.
Oh, no.
Awesome.
That's where I thought you were last week.
Well, my sisters made this thing a long time ago when my mom passed away that all the girls are going away. So we're going